Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Has Rinnegan and Was Abandoned by His Parents Part 2. Before we start, please go support Silver Lion 12K for writing that awesome fanfic. Chapter 25. The sports festival had just ended. Many of the spectators have gone home. As for the students, they were all called back to their classrooms. It was late, the sun was setting, but Aizawa needed to inform his class. Aizawa, alright everyone, you'll have 3 days to recover, then you're back here, alright. All students went to change in the locker rooms. After finishing, Izuku was about to head to the teacher's lounge. As he stepped outside, Momo stopped him. Momo, Izuku, congratulations on winning first place. She then embraced him to show how glad she was for him. Izuku, thanks Momo, I appreciate it. I have to go to the teacher's lounge, I'll see you later, okay? Momo, sure. Before you go, my family wants to invite you to celebrate our accomplishment in the sports festival. Izuku, okay, I'll text you when I'm done. As Izuku made his way to the teacher's lounge, he knocked, then heard a voice say, "Come in." When he stepped inside, he was greeted by all teachers, Sorahiko and Principal Nizu. Izuku, Principal Nizu, I was meeting All Might here, am I in trouble? Nizu, no, you're not in trouble Izuku, you've done an excellent job. Izuku, so why are you all here? Sorahiko, to ensure Toshinori won't wuss out. Both All Might and Inko were brought into the lounge and they held a yellow folder, but before it was given to Izuku, Recovery Girl put her 2 cents into the conversation. RG, Sunny, before you accept that folder you should know we tracked down your parents, and those are the DNA results. Izuku, when was I tested? RG, the day you lost your arm we took some blood and we tracked down your parents. The way we found them was by checking how many people were born on July 15th and tested every couple to see if your DNA matched until we got a hit. Izuku was silent as he tried to process what he heard. In front of him was the answer he had hoped to learn since the day he turned 5. He carefully reached for the folder. Slowly, when it was in his hands, he read the result in bold letters: 100% biological son of Toshinori Yagi and Inko Yagi. He kept reading and closing the folder, wondering if the result would change. As he looked up and saw his neighbors, who turned out to be his parents, Izuku clenched his prosthetic fist and smashed it on Toshinori's face. Everyone was surprised until they saw tears flow down his cheeks. A/N. Play song for more emotional scene. Izuku, do you have any idea what I went through? Day in and day out wondering who my parents are. I don't know whether to be angry or happy. I had to give up my childhood, my teenage years to become the man you see today. I had to leave the orphanage, get a job to live in this dog-eat-dog world. Then slowly I was accepted by people at my job who didn't judge me for my power. I felt like I had family. Then I met a beautiful girl who became my friend. She didn't judge me either until she cut contact with me since she was betrothed. My world was shattered, but I knew there was no time to feel hurt by this. When I got into UA, I was happy. Then I met Momo Yayorozu and her family. The bonds they have is what I constantly wish for every birthday. Toshi, I know, sorry, can't express how much we regret what we did, but... Izuku, but what, were you just gonna replace me when you were ready to have a family, were you? Both Inko and Toshinori stayed quiet as this was their plan from the beginning. Izuku, why didn't you ask for help? Damn it, why didn't you ask your dad to raise me if you didn't want me? How? Answer me. Sorahiko, Sonny, I would have raised you like my own if this idiot had the balls to tell me Inko was with child. Izuku, so you didn't know? Sorahiko, no, I didn't know. I only figured it out when you helped me with my car the night we met. Inko, Izuku, I feel like the dumbest woman alive. I carried you for 9 months and gave you up like nothing. Toshi and I will spend the rest of our lives trying to make amends with you, even if you want nothing to do with us. All we ask is for one chance so we can try and be the parents you needed. Toshi, please my boy, we'll do whatever it takes to keep you in our lives. The day Inko was made barren, she lost happiness. When we found you again, you kindled a dying flame which brought us joy. We wanted to tell you then and there, but we were cowards. Izuku, one chance. Both Inko and Toshinori looked confused after he said one chance. Inko, you'll let us be part of your life? Izuku, you have one chance, but this doesn't mean I'm moving in with you. Toshi, you're our son, you can live with us. Izuku, I'm already established as an adult, I have my own home, pay my bills, and I had a job, but Mr. Yayorozu is paying me as if I still have a job. I wouldn't even know how to act. I gave up my childhood, so the only way I know how to act is like an adult. You're more than welcome to visit me often." Toshi and Inko rushed to hug their son. He felt awkward but returned it, hopefully able to start over. "Izuku, I'm having a celebration dinner with the Yayorozu. I gotta get going." Text with Momo. Izuku, "Hey Momo, I finished what I needed to do. Where can I meet you and your family?" Momo, "Hello Izuku, that's great. Father said he'll host a party at our home since it's a small gathering." Izuku, "Should I bring anything?" Momo, "Nope, just come over, I'll see you soon." Izuku, "Sure, see you soon." Chapter 26. It was Saturday, the day after Yuei's sports festival. Izuku had gone and celebrated with the Yayorozu family. Izuku woke up on an unfamiliar couch covered by a blanket. Then he realized the possibility. He fell asleep on the couch. As his eyes began to adjust to the sunlight, he felt something heavy on his chest as he lifted the blanket and saw Momo laying in his chest. When she started to wake up, they both looked into each other's eyes. Izuku stared into her obsidian-color eyes, and she in return stared into his deep purple rippled eyes. She had forgotten how mesmerizing they were since he uses a genjutsu to cover them. The two were broken out of their trance when 6 flashes went off and caught their attention. Ebona, "Well Momo, I had no idea you worked this fast to get Izuku's attention." Takashi, "Am honestly surprised in you Momo, but I approve." Makoto, "Well brother, looks like you'll have a son-in-law soon." Minato, "Well son, you must not have been the only life he was able to influence." Makoto/Mizuzu, "I wonder what their babies will look like." The two teens were scrambling and had massive blushes. Izuku fell off the couch and got on his hands and knees. Izuku, "Mr. Yayorozu, I swear I didn't touch your daughter. I only remember falling asleep honestly." Takashi, "Ha ha ha, it's alright, you two fell asleep on the couch after the party. You were sitting next to each other when you fell asleep. I put the blanket on you, but you both must have found a comfortable sleeping position. Now let's have breakfast." Izuku got up and looked for his phone. He saw missed messages and calls from Toshinori. He decided to call him back. Call. "Toshi, my boy, where have you been? We've been trying to reach you all morning." Izuku, "Sorry, I was invited by the Yayorozu to celebrate. I fell asleep here, and I just woke up." Toshi, "That's alright my boy, I was wondering if you'd come over for breakfast. Your mother made a huge spread, so let us know when you're on the way." Izuku, "Alright, I'll head over now." Call end. Izuku walked towards the Yayorozu family, who looked ready to head out. Takashi, "Izuku, get dressed please, we're heading out to breakfast." Izuku, "I'm sorry, but something has come up and I must head home." Ebona, "Oh, is everything alright?" Izuku, "Yes, it's just my ex-neighbors invited me over for breakfast to celebrate with them." Takashi, "It's fine then, please enjoy yourself. How about you join us for lunch if possible?" Izuku, "Yes, that's perfect, please tell Momo I'm sorry for leaving." Izuku got ready and left. The moment he stepped outside, he saw his motorcycle parked and remembered he drove over here. Once in his protective gear, he drove off to see Inko and Toshinori. 20 minutes later, he parked and texted Toshinori that he had arrived. After parking outside the apartment complex he once stayed at, he texted Toshinori he was outside. As he went up to the apartment, he was greeted with hugs and affection. To him, he felt out of place. Everyone was there, Toshinori, Inko and Sorahiko, but the tension in the air was uncomfortable. Nobody knew how to start the conversation. In Izuku's mind, he felt more at home with the Yayorozu family. Breakfast finished, but not fast enough for Izuku. Before leaving, he wanted to do something. Izuku, "Thanks for breakfast, but before I leave, can you get a futon out?" Toshi, "Why?" Izuku, "I'm going to heal your stomach." Toshi, "The best healing quirk users couldn't even do it." Izuku, "Well, they never met me." Izuku's hands began to glow a vibrant green as he placed them over Toshinori's stomach wound. Izuku didn't need to worry about his chakra depleting at an alarming rate due to the size of the wound, since the moment he inherited one, for all his chakra capacity had multiplied greatly. What Izuku expected to take hours of healing followed by small intervals of rest took less time than expected. Toshinori's treatment lasted an hour and 25 minutes. There was only a small scar left. Izuku, Alright, how do you feel? Toshi, I feel amazing, almost like new. Izuku, Mom, your turn. Although he felt weird saying Mom, he had to put on a mask. Inko laid down and Izuku began the healing, but her session lasted no more than 45 minutes. Izuku figured whatever fool was on site who treated them must have been a complete novice. Izuku, alright, I'm going to head out now, I've gotta buy groceries. Sorahiko, I'm going home as well, see ya knuckleheads. Both Izuku and Sorahiko made it to the parking lot, were both heading towards their vehicles when Sorahiko got Izuku's attention. We need to talk, follow me. Izuku knew it would only be a matter of time before Sorahiko could figure out what he was up to. Izuku hopped on his bike and followed Sorahiko to the city, where he got out and walked to a stand selling taiyaki. After buying a decent-sized bag, they went to a hiking trail. Izuku, what are we doing here? Sorahiko, follow me and you'll see. The two walked a half-mile up the trail, then went off-trail for about another mile, until they reached a lone bench planted near a cliff that had a barricade to prevent someone from falling. The two sat and looked at the enchanting scenery. Izuku, wow, it's incredible. Sorahiko, it sure is. Nana showed me this place, I'm usually here to clear my mind. Taiyaki? Izuku accepted the fish-shaped pastry from him as they heard the water crash from the waterfall. Sorahiko, so kid, you're not going to give them a chance, are you? Izuku, not really. Did you feel how awkward it was between us during breakfast? Sorahiko, I see, I understand, I don't blame you, but I knew that every word you said was true during the meeting. So why did you heal them then? Izuku, let me answer your question with a question. Do you know what the strongest ninja art a shinobi can master? Sorahiko, no, what is the strongest ninja art? Izuku, the art of deception. I healed them in order to give them something they truly want, the one thing I can't give them. Sorahiko, I see. What is it they truly want? Izuku, they want to fully experience what parenthood is like, from first steps, first words, all the way to school graduations. Sorahiko, I see, but what happens to you? Izuku, it'll slowly fade from their life and continue my own, like Eve been doing from the day they abandoned me. Oh yeah, fair warning, expect a call a few weeks down the line from Toshinori shouting I'm going to be a dad. Sorahiko, I see, but just know, kiddo, I'll always be available to help you no matter what. Izuku, thanks Sorahiko. Sorahiko, Grandpa. Izuku, what? Sorahiko, feel free to call me Grandpa no matter what, you're my grandson, so don't forget that even if those idiots do. Whatever you need, here's my number. Izuku, thanks Grandpa, let's head back, grab my shoulder. Sorahiko did so, and the two quickly flashed to the parking spots. Neat move, boy, I'll see you around, take care, kid. Izuku got a message from Momo. It said, we're having Grandpa's barbecue for lunch, are you joining us? Izuku simply replied with yes. Sorahiko started his car and Izuku started his bike. The two drove away in opposite directions. Chapter 27. After the 3-day recovery period, it was time for classes to start up again. Everyone was chatting about how people recognized them. Ito wasn't very social. Izuku could feel the negative vibes. It came as a shock to him when he saw the news headline, Ingenium forced to retire after assaulted by hero killer. Izuku wanted to say something to him, but the bell had rung and class was about to begin. Aizawa walked into a silent class. Aizawa, alright students, welcome back. Now today we will show you the results of your hard work during the sports festival. As Aizawa had pulled up a hologram screen, he showed who were the students who earned the highest votes during the festival. Izuku was number 1 with 3,000 votes, Todoroki was second with 2,000 votes. Lastly, Momo had 1,888 votes. She was still getting offers from top agencies. Katsuki, why the buck am I not on the board, but these extras get all the attention? Everyone in the class was getting tired of hearing Katsuki shout only me and me. Someone needed to put him in his place, and quick. Izuku, I think it's because you have that shitty attitude that nobody is willing to intern you. Katsuki, what did you say, shitty nerd? Izuku, did I stutter? Katsuki was about to shout louder, but Aizawa cut him off and continued his lesson. Now before you get to pick where you intern, you have to choose hero names. Midnight will assist you. Midnight, whatever name you choose will be permanent once it sticks. Many names were fitting, others had to be rewritten. It was down to the last students, Ida, Izuku, and Katsuki. Ida just decided to use his name. Izuku was gonna present his name until he heard Nana speak. Kid, you're gonna forge your own path and become greater than all of us previous holders. Izuku then knew what his hero name was going to be. He wrote the name down and began to raise his hand to show he's ready. When Midnight allowed him to present, many were surprised by the name. Midnight, so Izuku, are you sure? Izuku, I will be the hero who bears the burden and suffering. IMPIN. Midnight approved. Izuku took his seat and caught Momo giving him a thumbs up and smile, knowing that he'll be a great hero. Katsuki still was getting all his potential hero names rejected for being too violent. He was given more time to come up with a suitable name. That's when Aizawa had woken up and passed out sheets to everyone with places they got requests from and possible agencies to intern at. Izuku took a look at his sheet and noticed many of the top pros had requested that he join the agency for the week. The hero's name who caught Izuku's attention the most was none other than Edgeshot, because he follows the path of a ninja and could possibly learn more from him. After picking Edgeshot's agency and a few others as possible backup plans, he was about to turn his forms into Aizawa until he noticed Momo looking unsure. He then walked up to her desk hoping to find out if he could help her somehow. Izuku, hey Momo, everything okay? Momo, oh Izuku, yes, everything is okay, but I'm unsure of who to intern with. Izuku saw Momo chose Wawamabi as her top choice, and Izuku knew that Wawamabi would be a useless internship. Izuku, are you sure you want to go with Wawamabi? Momo, yes, maybe she could teach me some valuable lessons. Izuku, I say take another look at your choices, because Wawamabi is a search and rescue hero. The majority of her time she spends shooting commercials and modeling. Momo then looked through all of the offers she had received when she saw Edgeshot had requested her to intern with him. Class was dismissed. Many had decided to think it over before the weekend came along. Izuku noticed Ida submit his internship form, but one thing was certain: this gave Izuku a bad feeling in the pit of his stomach. Both he and Momo submitted their forms when Aizawa had told him that Edgeshot wanted the two of them, so he was allowed to take in more than one intern. During this, Izuku caught a glimpse at Ida's form. It read Manuel's Hero Agency hosts a city. This confirmed the bad feeling he got. When he got home, he began to work on something special for Ida. In the teacher's lounge, All Might called his father to see if he could offer Izuku a chance to give him some extra training. Toshinori, well, Dad, will you be able to take him for the week? Sorahiko, I'm sorry, boy, something's come up and it requires my full attention. Anything else? Toshinori, no, nothing so far. I'll call you later, take care, Dad. Gran Torino POV. I didn't want to lie to the boy, but glad to know he still remembers Izuku, but for how much longer will that last? Only time will tell. Hopefully I'll hear from the kid soon. BZZZ. I look at my phone with the text message that read, Hi Grandpa, this warms my heart knowing the kid took my words to heart. Izuku, Grandpa, I'm going to an intern with Edgeshot. I was hoping you would drop by and give me a sparring session when you stop by. Sorahiko, hey kiddo, sure, I'll send Edgeshot's secretary a message letting him know I'll be stopping by. Izuku, great, thanks Grandpa, I'll see you during the internships, take care. Gran Torino POV End. Week of internships. Aizawa, does everyone have their hero suits? 1A, yes sir. Aizawa, good, be on your best behavior. Ida was about to depart for Hazu, but he felt a hand on his shoulder. When he turned around, it was Izuku. Ida, Izuku, what can I help you with? Izuku, look, we're friends, right? Ida, yes we are. Izuku, please, as your friend, let me know if something's wrong. I want to help you. Ida, thank you Izuku, I'll take that into consideration, but I must be off before my train departs. Izuku, wait, Ida, please wear this. Ida, did you make this? Izuku, yeah, this so that you know, as a friend, if you're ever in need of anything, please let me know. Ida, thank you, this means a lot to me. Ida left while putting on his new gift from his friend. Izuku was glad. He also hoped he wouldn't need to use it. Momo, that was nice of you, but what makes that necklace special? Izuku, I put a special seal on it which lets me teleport directly to him. Oh, before I forget, I made you one too. Now let's head out ourselves. Momo blushed at his gesture and hoped the one he gave her held some sort of special meaning behind it. Chapter 28. After some time riding the train, both Izuku and Momo had gotten to their stop. After waking 10 minutes away from the station, they arrived at Edshot's agency. When they checked in with the receptionist, she pointed them in the direction they needed to go. When they got on the elevator, Izuku whispered to Momo, "Be on guard." When the elevator door opened, metal could be heard against a tall metal shield. Once out of the elevator, Izuku rushed forward with his prosthetic arm's blade. He was then locked against Edgeshot, who nodded in approval of his two interns. Edgeshot, hello both of you, perfect teamwork. Izuku/Momo, thank you, sir. Just as they thought the coast was clear, Izuku heard air zip past him, but he ducked before it came around again, as he blocked a kick with one of his own. Torino, haha, I see you're sharp as ever, kid, glad to know. Izuku, well, one must never drop their guard. Edgeshot, well, before we begin, I'd like to introduce Gran Torino. He's a hero with many years of experience under his belt who has volunteered to assist me. Gran Torino, well, I hope to pass on any knowledge I have to you both. Both teens bowed before their new mentors, which began their training immediately. Momo was taught the basics of hand-to-hand combat, while Izuku worked on speed and maneuverability. The afternoon had gone by as if it was a blink of an eye. Both Izuku and Momo were exhausted from their training. The two were wondering where their rooms were. Edgeshot, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that you'll be sharing a room. Don't worry, you'll have different beds. When Edgeshot escorted them to the room, he mentioned where the showers were. When both teens took showers, they went to their room and got ready for bed. The futons were separated from each other. Izuku, hey Momo. Momo, yes Izuku? Izuku, can you please make a book light for me? I'd like to read before bed. Momo, of course. She made the book light and then saw when Izuku got his book out and turned on the light she made him. She took that as a sign to turn off the room's lights. Izuku was on page 1. Momo saw the cover of the story and it caught her attention. She whispered, Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. Momo, hey Izuku, what are you reading? Izuku, oh, it's an old story I found. With Edgeshot and Torino. Gran Torino, well, any particular reason you put both of them in the same room? Edgeshot, well, I can tell they both like each other, but Yayorozu is nervous to say anything and Izuku is afraid of rejection. Plus, I read his file. Abandoned at birth, the poor kid was touch deprived, no family to give him love and attention. He had to learn everything on his own, so I thought the kid deserved a little push. Gran Torino, well, I hope the kid is able to find happiness soon. Back with Izuku and Momo. Momo, can you read it aloud? I'd like to know what it's about. Izuku, sure. Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. POV. I've been on a long journey to search for the chosen one. The toads have prophesied about the one who will bring change to the world. Sadly, it's been a few years since I've set out on my quest, but I haven't come across this revolutionary who could bring about change. I begin to see smoke from where my camp is. I pack up and make my way, only to see a little village set on fire. A few shuriken have been thrown at me. I quickly dodge and preform the substitution jutsu before a large shuriken can make contact with me. As I look at my assailant, he hails from a large clan known as the Fuma clan. Why did you set fire to this village? They were nothing but farmers. The man laughed in my face. I did this because I got a tip saying this village was infiltrated by our enemies. In my rage, I couldn't believe what I had just heard. You did this because of a tip. We began to fight as our blades clashed. I hid from his sight only to catch my breath for a bit. I checked my arsenal. I had 2 smoke bombs left. I used them to blind my enemy. We continued to clash until I was exhausted and on my knees. Fumanin, you've been beaten. Here's where you give up and die. Can I just say one thing? Fumanin, shut up and die. When his sword pierced my heart, I set up the substitution jutsu before I was stabbed as I stood behind my enemy. You can give up on making me give up. I chopped his neck, then stabbed him so he dies from blood loss. He turns to me. Fumanin, even if you kill me, another assassin will take my place. As long as we are cursed to live in this ninja world, there will never be true peace. Then if there is no such thing as peace, I'll be the one to grasp it, and I'll never let it go. Fumanin, tell me who you are. My name is Naruto. Tales of a Gutsy Ninja End. As Izuku finished reading the book, Momo was fast asleep. Izuku smiled and shut his book light off and went to bed himself. Izuku slept facing away from Momo. As hours into the night passed, he suddenly felt arms wrap around his chest. She then murmured, "Please don't leave, Izu." She let go, then Izuku turned to face her and said, "I'll always be with you," as he wrapped his arms around her, which she cuddled into his chest. The following morning, Edgeshot was going to wake his interns and begin training again. Until he saw the sight of them sleeping together, he gently closed the door and gave them 10 more minutes. 5 minutes later, Izuku began to stir awake. He then noticed as Momo was in his arms. He thought it was a dream until she woke up. Momo was still half asleep and believed she was having one of her dreams where she and Izuku were married and had kids. Momo, good morning, darling. Izuku, good morning, wait. Before Izuku could say anything else, Momo kissed him passionately, believing it was still her dream. She then asked, "Where's Ichiro and Izuna?" After asking this, she realized that she wasn't dreaming and her eyes adjusted quickly. She then grabbed her things and got ready for the day. Izuku sat in his futon dumbfounded and asked himself, "What just happened?" Chapter 29. After the kiss, Izuku sat in bed confused and shocked. He got up to change. When he found Momo, she ignored him and said, "I don't want to talk about it." As he kept trying to figure out why she was now avoiding him, the two mentors decided to take one student each and fix their chemistry before it's too late. Gran Torino, "Hey Izuku, we're going to patrol, just the two of us, get a move on." Izuku, "Yes sir." As the duo left, they patrolled until midday and took a break for lunch. They sat on the roof to eat and talk. Torino, "What's the matter, my boy?" Izuku, "Grandpa, I think Momo hates me." Torino, "Why would you think that?" Izuku, "Well, she's avoiding me and won't let me talk to her." Torino, "What exactly happened?" Izuku, "Well, I woke up and she was hugging me, so when she let go I held her back. When it was morning I woke up with her in my arms. She then kissed me after asking about Ichiro and Izuna." Torino, "My boy, she probably loves you but is afraid to admit it. I believe that things will be better by the end of this, but you have to open up and not be afraid of rejection." Izuku, "Thanks, Grandpa." With Edgeshot. Edgeshot, "So Yayorozu, what seems to be the problem? You and Izuku were close yesterday." Momo, "Well, this morning I woke up in Izuku's arms and I thought it was one of my dreams." Edgeshot, "What exactly was this dream?" Momo, "The dream was about me and Izuku being married. Then I asked where our kids Ichiro and Izuna were. Then I passionately kissed him." Edgeshot, "When did you realize that it wasn't a dream?" Momo, "I figured I was awake when I didn't see my baby bump." Edgeshot, "So in the dream you're expecting a third child?" Momo, "Yes." Edgeshot, "I know you've heard about his past. He doesn't know what it's like to have family. You can't be afraid to get close." Momo, "He was actually the one to help my father reunite with his family. I want to be the one to be able to show him what it's like to have a family." Edgeshot, "Like I said, don't be scared to let your feelings be known. He might have feelings for you." Time skip. When Izuku and Gran Torino came back, the chemistry between Izuku and Momo seemed back to normal. That was when training began. The two were pushed farther than before. Izuku had been learning to use a sword by Edgeshot, and Momo was learning not to crumble under pressure thanks to Gran Torino. Edgeshot, "Alright you two, I've got some gear I want you to use from now on. For Yayorozu, a new hero costume to make your job easier. I was able to submit costume upgrades with my support company, so enjoy these gifts." Momo tried the costume on and felt a significant change. The open areas were the places she mainly used when she made something. There was no longer a small shelf to carry a book because she had Schematic Gauntlet, a device that showed her how to create the object along with the atomic configuration of its composition. Along with all of that, she received a red cloak too. Momo, "Thank you Edgeshot sensei, I believe this is better than my first suit." Edgeshot, "Glad to hear. Now time for your upgrades Izuku." Edgeshot, "This battle cloak will suit you fine. Also I've added a flak jacket made with Kevlar for extra protection. Your gloves have metal plates to offer stronger blows when fighting hand to hand. Then your boots are made of composite. It's hard material so it protects your feet, and they'll offer more damage done to anyone you face. Lastly, I present you with your own katana." Izuku, thank you Edshot-sensei, I can't believe you've done so much for us. Without Izuku knowing, Momo was eyeing him up and down, admiring him. Both Edshot and Gran Torino caught this. Gran Torino, you two get food and we'll plan out the patrol route. The four left while wearing their hero costumes so that after grabbing food they would patrol. They went to a burger joint nearby. Momo was going to tell Izuku something when suddenly people began to scream. When they turned around they saw three Nomu break the windows of the restaurant. When the huge bulky Nomu got inside, Izuku used Leaf Hurricane and kicked him out. He and Momo began to evacuate the civilians. Gran Torino and Edshot had teamed up. Torino, kids, evacuate the innocents. Izuku on it. Shadow Clone Jutsu. As hundreds of Izukus appeared, Izuku commanded that some begin to evacuate the civilians. He sent some to aid Torino and Edshot while he sent the rest to search for Ida. Suddenly a clone popped and gave Izuku the location of Stain as he saw Ida confront Stain about almost killing Ingenium. Izuku grabbed Momo and used the Hiraishin to teleport in front of Ida, blocking the hero killer's blade. Izuku, Ida, Momo and I are here to save and native Shadow Clone Jutsu. Izuku fiercely kicked Stain away and then commanded his clones to help Momo get Ida and native out of the alley. Momo was about to protest when he gave her a thumbs up and a bright smile. Izuku, I'll be fine. A hero's job is to lay their life down for the greater good. Stain just smiled. Chapter 30. Previously. Izuku, I'll be fine. A hero's job is to lay their life down for the greater good. Stain just smiled. Chapter 30 begins. As Izuku and Stain were clashing swords, the two jumped back before charging each other again. Izuku, Momo, take Ida and a clone of mine will take native. I need you to get out of here. Momo, I'm not leaving you. Izuku, just do as I say, I promise I'll be okay. Izuku said as he gave Momo a thumbs up, signaling her that everything was under control. Before Momo left, she shouted, "Please be safe." Once she was safe, Izuku had to do his very best to not die. Stain, risking your life to save others, you are worthy of being called a hero. Tell me your name so that I remember one of the last real heroes. Izuku, I am the hero who will bear the burden of others. I am Pain. Stain, Pain, it is here that you die. Izuku knew it was time to reveal his trump card since he didn't want the fight to last longer than needed. Izuku proceeded to sheath his sword. The hero killer was confused, thinking the boy had just given up until he heard, "First gate, gate of opening open." Izuku's body had been supercharged to the point where both speed and strength were doubled. His skin had turned red and a stream of chakra that was visible. Stain was impressed and couldn't believe what he was witnessing. Before he could even know what happened, Izuku began attacking at speeds that Stain couldn't keep up with. With Momo and clone Izuku. Momo was holding Ida as he tried to struggle out of her grip, but she knew the best course of action was to let Izuku handle the fight on his own since he was the most powerful student of 1A. Clone, you're worried about me, Momo? Momo, yes I am, but I know I should be at your side right now providing you with support. Clone, look, everything is okay, just do as you were told, okay? Momo tried to argue but knew Izuku had a point. It would make things twice as hard for him trying to protect all three of them. She and the clone kept running until they saw an ambulance. She dropped off Ida and native to receive medical care when she saw a group of heroes that were freed up from protecting civilians. Momo, excuse me, there's an emergency on 1421 Echo Street. Any and all heroes are needed. The pros who were unoccupied had quickly rushed with Momo to the location she had said. Back to Izuku. Izuku was still mopping the floor with Stain, but he knew not to be overconfident about having the upper hand against a strong adversary. Stain was growing irritable, having to deal with a faster opponent. Little did he know the anger he had was about to boil even more. Izuku, second gate of rest open. The level of speed was multiplied again, making Stain even more annoyed as a barrage of punches and kicks had hit him like a truck. Momo, Pain, I brought reinforcements. Izuku, where are native and Ida? Momo, they're with the paramedics. Stain, well Pain, how about we end this? Izuku turned to face Stain as he nodded in agreement. All you heroes don't interfere, this will be over quick. Izuku threw one of his three-pronged kunai. Stain dodged, allowing Izuku to teleport behind him, slamming a Rinnegan onto the man's back. Everyone was in awe how one first-year student could take down a notorious criminal on his own. The pros then tied him up and confiscated the man's weapons. Suddenly they heard a screeching. The heroes all looked up and saw a flying Nomu. It tried to take Izuku but failed due to being stabbed in its brain by Stain's hidden blade. As Stain began his rant about how heroes of today's society were fake and only after money and fame. Pin, you are worthy. Make the world know what pain and suffering goes on while the fakes are idolized, and show them you'll change this world and bear all its pain. I deem you worthy to be a hero. All this was said as killer intent was leaking from Stain. As he finished his speech, the pros noticed he was unconscious. After arresting him, they handcuffed him with quirk-restricting cuffs to give him a physical, only to discover one of his ribs punctured his lungs and he had a severely damaged spine. After the whole ordeal, Momo had one of the paramedics give Izuku a checkup just as a precaution. Although Izuku kept telling her it wasn't necessary, she gave him glare that sent out evil aura, which scared him into getting the checkup. At the hospital, Izuku's checkup went well and nothing was wrong, although he gave Ida an earful for being stupid and lectured him until he heard the door open to reveal Police Chief Tsurigami. It was then explained that Edgeshot was going to take the credit for the hero killer's capture. That way either Izuku or Momo would get into trouble for using their quirks without a license. The police chief did bow and gave his gratitude for assisting in the hero killer's arrest. When the police chief and everyone left, Ida apologized for being a stubborn fool and hoped to make it up to Izuku in the future. Afterwards, both Momo and Izuku left the room and made it to the waiting area. Izuku: "So Momo, I know things went to hell but want to get a bite to eat." Momo looked at him strangely, then slapped him really hard. As he looked back at her, she had tears in her eyes. "Izuku, what's the matter?" "Momo, you idiot, do you know how scared I was? I thought I lost you. I wouldn't want to know what my life would be like without you. I love you, Izuku, you idiot." She then grabbed his face and kissed him passionately, hoping he'd get the message. When they separated, he asked, "You really love me?" She nodded yes, which made Izuku the happiest man until they heard the whole waiting room clap at Momo's confession. Izuku saw Gran Torino, who looked proud of the boy for finding happiness. Izuku wished for the moment to be real and not a dream he'd wake up from. Chapter 31. It was last morning of the internships. Izuku and Momo were still asleep as the events of the previous night had worn them out. The early morning sun woke Izuku up. He felt something snuggle into his chest. He looked and saw Momo. He tried to move away from her. "Izu, stop moving," she mumbled, half asleep. He moved away once again. "Why are you cuddling with me?" Momo was now fully awake as she said to him, dead in his genjutsu-covered eyes. "Momo, I'm trying to cuddle with my boyfriend." "Izuku, so that wasn't a dream?" "Momo, nope. I'll prove it to you." Momo then kissed Izuku. At first he thought it was a dream, but after a few seconds he kissed back. As he tried to cup her face, he noticed she flinched. It was due to his cold metal prosthetic arm. "Izuku, sorry, I forgot about my arm." "Momo, it's okay. Can I see those beautiful eyes that made me attracted to you?" "Izuku, are you sure you want to see them?" Momo nodded as Izuku dropped the genjutsu. His purple ringed eyes stared back at Momo's beautiful onyx eyes. Without realizing it, she asked Izuku something completely out of left field. "Do you think our kids would inherit your eyes?" Izuku looked at Momo, and she realized what she asked him. As she tried to look away, he hugged her tightly. "Izuku, so you've thought about us having kids before?" "Momo, I'd be lying if I said no, but the morning I kissed you and asked where Ichiro and Izuna were was always part of the dream." "Izuku, when did you know you were awake?" "Momo, I wasn't pregnant." "Izuku, so we were expecting a third baby?" Momo shyly nodded, and she then began to reveal all the daydreams she had of her and Izuku dating, moving in together, being proposed to, then lastly having a family together. "Izuku, you know I never dated anyone, so I don't know how good of a boyfriend I'll be, but I'll try my best to make all your dreams into reality." Momo couldn't help but kiss him in that moment after listening to him say he'll do his best to make her dreams come true. They laid in bed for 5 more minutes before heading to do their last training session. As they got dressed and ready, they saw both Edgeshot and Gran Torino smiling. "Hope you kids had a great night's sleep," Gran Torino said. "Last day of training, show us everything you've learned," Edgeshot chimed in. Time skip. After the half-day of training, the two teens impressed their hero mentors with all that they learned. They said goodbye and headed off back to UA until Izuku stopped. Momo, what's wrong? Izuku, want to get to the station quickly? Momo, how? Izuku showed her his Hiraishin kunai and took her hand when they instantly teleported in front of Aizawa, who jumped at the surprise of the two. Aizawa, welcome back. Alright, head home and tomorrow you will resume classes. Aizawa was only there to give info to his students before dismissing them. Izuku had decided to drop Momo off at home. They went to Izuku's so he could get his car. Upon getting to Izuku's house, Momo got hungry, and it was easy to tell since her stomach growled loudly. Izuku, Momo, do you want to go out and get lunch before I take you home? Momo, yes please. The two hopped in Izuku's car and drove to a cafe for some coffee and sandwiches. Then, before dropping off Momo home, Izuku drove to a building that made sake it was a brewery. Momo, why are we here? Izuku, I needed to get something as an offering to your father since we're dating. Momo, he would accept you as part of the family without the gift. Izuku, I just want to make sure I get his approval to date his only daughter. Momo, that's nice of you to do, but I'm telling you, he likes you more than you think. You've earned my father's respect, which is one of the hardest things to do. Even some of the staff are in awe that you were able to earn his trust quickly. Izuku, thanks for saying, but if Fori learned anything, it's that one has to come with a gift before visiting their girlfriend's home. When Izuku entered the business, the brewmaster had greeted him like an old friend. Izuku, you finally come to see me, old friend. How are you? Hey June, hope everything's been well. I've been well. Listen, I need the best bottle you have. It's a gift for the father of my girlfriend. The man behind the counter was happy for the young man who had found love. June, well, since it's for a special occasion, I think a discount is needed. If you're looking for the best I've got, then look no further. I present the phoenix feather. That will be 3,500 yen, but since it's for a good cause, 1,750 for you. Izuku, thanks June, I really appreciate this. Please say hi to the family for me. June, will do. Hope everything goes well for you. Finally, Izuku and Momo had made it to the Yayorozu estate, and outside was her family, who waited and greeted the two. When they noticed Izuku held a small gift bag and approached Takashi, the entire family fell in silence, wondering what was going to happen. Izuku, Mr. Yayorozu, I'd like for you to accept this gift. Takashi, you didn't have to give me anything, Izuku, but thank you for the gesture. Izuku, actually, I thought this was necessary because I must tell you that I am officially dating your daughter, and I'd love to have your blessing to date her. The women in the Yayorozu family were excited for Momo, while the men were showing Izuku respect for being man, and coming correctly for speaking to Takashi about dating his daughter. Izuku was sure he was going to be denied dating Momo until, "Welcome to the family," Takashi loudly exclaimed as he brought Izuku in for a hug. He then pulled the young man to the side and talked to him. Takashi, Izuku, you do know that I would have approved the relationship between you and my daughter, right? Izuku, well, I wasn't sure if you would have approved, so I decided to ask for your permission. Takashi, well, just know you have permission to date my daughter. Also, you have my blessing to marry her when the time is right. Izuku blushed bright red but couldn't help but picture Momo in a wedding dress. He was brought out of his thoughts when his phone vibrated. It was a message from Sorahiko. It read, "Meet me at the waterfall." Izuku pulled Momo to the side for a bit, and told her his friend Rin needed some help at the mechanic's shop. She understood, but before she could pout, he kissed her, and promised that he'd be picking her up from school and taking her home after school. Little did he know Momo's mother, aunt and grandmother snapped a picture of them kissing and held on to it so they could tease her later. Chapter 32. After Izuku departed from Momo's house, he drove to the mountain path that led towards the waterfall where he and Sorahiko agreed to meet. Once he parked, he made his way to the meeting location after 30 minutes, and again he was in awe of the beautiful waterfall. Sorahiko, it's still breathtaking, isn't it, my boy? Izuku, it sure is, Grandpa. So what's up? Sorahiko, you were right, my boy, that idiot Toshinori called me. Izuku, oh, Inko's pregnant? Sorahiko, yeah, but what pissed me off the most was that the idiot said, "I'm going to be a father." Izuku, what did you expect him to say? Sorahiko, I don't know. How about I'm having a second kid? It seems that the idiot has forgotten you again, and I can't stand that. It made Izuku smile to know that his grandfather cared. Although the man wasn't his biological grandfather, he still showed the young man the kind of affection any grandparent would to their grandchild. He hugged the old man. Izuku, thanks for caring so much, Grandpa. Sorahiko, it's nothing, my boy. How are things with the Yaoyorozu girl? Izuku, well, I asked her father if I'd be allowed to date her. He instantly agreed. Sorahiko, that's good, my boy. Please promise me that you won't make the same mistake your parents made. Izuku, I promise on my life that I won't make the same mistake. The two kept talking until the sun had begun set. Before leaving, Izuku slapped a Hiraishin seal on the bench to teleport there instantly. The next day, everyone was back in class and many had shown a form of improvement. Katsuki himself was only taught manners and social skills. All students met up with All Might to test how much they've grown during the internship. Everyone was in their hero suit, and all of the class took notice of Izuku and Momo's new costumes. Mina, when did you guys get costume upgrades? Izuku, Edshot's agency covered the cost and rewarded us with the upgrades. All Might, alright, today we will do a rescue race. Izuku, Mina, Ojiro, Shiro and Ida were chosen to lead the first race, but before starting Izuku had pulled All Might to the side. I got you a souvenir. All Might, thanks my boy, now get to your position. The race was about to start. All Might shot the starting gun, while everyone else had started heading towards All Might. Izuku stayed put for a few seconds, causing everyone to stay confused. The moment everyone reached the halfway point, Izuku flashed right in front of All Might, who was surprised. All Might, congratulations, thank you for saving me. Everyone who observed had their mouths wide open except for Momo, who was giggling about what just happened. Katsuki was fuming, mad about what happened. All Might, how did you get to me so quickly? Izuku just pointed to the necklace All Might was wearing. He was still confused until Izuku explained what he meant. Izuku, I put a seal on the necklace that allows me to use the Hiraishin. After all races were completed, everyone had improved, but the two who had shown major growth was Izuku and Momo. As they were back in class, Aizawa was at the podium ready to make an announcement. Aizawa, alright everyone, you'll have 2 weeks to study because midterm exams are coming up. Few people were stressing about the exams, some were doing well enough that it wouldn't be a big deal for them. Meanwhile, Momo was surrounded by multiple classmates who needed help from one of the top students. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. Tokoemi and Sato asked Izuku for help. Momo had caught the conversation, and before final arrangements, Izuku got the idea to join the two groups together. Izuku, hey Momo, want to hold the study sessions at my house? Since I'm holding one, let's just combine the groups, and it will be easy, we're the top students. Momo, that's a great idea, let's do that. Time skipped to study session. When the study session group arrived at Izuku's home, they were in awe of his home. Some were thinking about bringing swimsuits for the next time they visit. As they rang the doorbell, Momo answered but forgot she was helping Izuku in the kitchen, and wore an apron to answer the door. Mina, well, Yamamoto, looks like you're happy playing housewife. Momo had this light blush since she forgot she was wearing the apron while helping Izuku in the kitchen. Momo, sorry, Izuku needed help in the kitchen and I forgot I was wearing this. When everyone was led to the living room, the study session began. Izuku was helping those who were struggling with math questions. After an hour and a half they had a lunch break. They hung out, then continued studying until the sun went down. This routine continued until the day of the exam, although they're in for a rude awakening. Chapter 33. It was officially the day of midterms, and Izuku felt prepared for whatever was thrown his way. Some of his classmates were nervous since they felt that the amount of studying they did may not be enough. Izuku had assured those who had doubts that no matter what they would do fine as long as they did their best. When Aizawa walked into the classroom, everyone was quiet and took out a pencil and waited for sensei to distribute the written exam. When Aizawa did this, he stood at the podium and gave the instructions. After the instructions were given, all students had begun the written portion. After an hour and a half, many had begun to finish. The students that had the study session with Izuku and Momo had noticed they were able to manage without issues. Aizawa, okay class, go and head to lunch, eat something light. Your next exam will begin after lunch break. Everyone had gone to the cafeteria to eat. Many of them decided to talk about how they think they did for the written. Kirishima, I wonder what the practical exam will be. They were all brought out of the conversation by a red-headed girl. I know what the last exam is gonna be on. They all looked towards her and saw Itsuka Kendo. They remembered her from the sports festival. Itsuku, I have a friend who's a third year, and she told me that they'll make us fight the robots from the entrance exam. As she walked away, everyone was in high spirits, thinking that it would be easy for them. I believe that they'll change the test. Everyone stopped their cheering and looked at Izuku. Kirishima, what do you mean, bro? Izuku, think about everything that has happened clearly. We've been infiltrated by a villain, then attacked at USJ, the Stain incident. So do you honestly think the teachers would give us an easy exam? Everyone sat in silence, wondering what the teacher could have in store for them, until Mina asked. Mina, Izuku, if you had to guess, what kind of practical would we have? Izuku, the best I can guess is they'll have us fight the teachers as they wear restraints. The others began to think about this being a major possibility, so Izuku began to talk strategy with his classmates in case they failed a certain teacher. Katsuki Bakudo was the only one who didn't want to heed any warning. When lunch was over, they returned to class to wait for instructions. When all were seated without missing a beat, Aizawa announced, "Get dressed into your costumes and meet me at ground beta." When the students were dressed in costume and approached the testing facility, they were told to report to. All the teachers stood before them, which meant Izuku's hunch was correct. The teachers were going to be their opponents. Aizawa, do you know why we're here? Izuku, does this have to do with the fact we've been attacked multiple occasions, and so to prepare us you're going to have us fight the teachers? As Niza popped out of Aizawa's capture gear, he declared, "Right on the money, Izuku. Nizu, you'll all work in teams of 2. One team will consist of 3 people, the other will have to go solo." So the teams have been established, and Izuku was going to face off against All Might. The first match was Kirishima, Sato and Bakugo against Cementos. Before Sato left with his team, Izuku pulled him to the side. Izuku, Sato, I know how to beat Cementos. Sato, really, how? Izuku, you have to run and head for the exit. Sato, wouldn't we score higher if we captured him? Izuku, your quirks can only last for so long. Once you tire out, Kirishima will do the same. Then Bakugo, you're facing Cementos on his turf where he has the advantage. Sato, okay, I understand now, thanks for the advice. As time passed, so did many of Izuku's classmates. The only failures were Denki, Mina, Mineta, and Katsuki. It was thanks to Shiro's helmet that blocked out Midnight's quirk, so he quickly fled the fight. Mineta, on the other hand, wanted to cop a feel, which ultimately led to Mineta's downfall. Katsuki ignored any order from Sato as he and Kirishima ran to away. Katsuki failed due to his ignorance. Kaminari and Mina failed their practical due to forgetting what Izuku told them. It was now Izuku's turn to face All Might, his father, who abandoned him. During all the other matches, Izuku meditated to maintain calm. Chapter 34. It was the final match of the day, and everyone was excited to see how Izuku would fare against All Might. As the intercom sounded off signaling the test to start, Izuku had taken a deep breath and ran into the fake city when suddenly a powerful gust hit Izuku. All Might, I'm here to destroy this pathetic city. Izuku took out multiple tri-pronged kunai and threw them all over the area. All Might, I think you need accuracy training, boy. Izuku, wasn't aiming for you. In an instant Izuku vanished as All Might tired to quickly survey his surroundings but wasn't fast enough. A foot connected with his chin and was sent upwards. Izuku jumped and landed an insane combo, making All Might seem helpless in mid-air. An observation room. The students were in awe as they saw Izuku overpower All Might even though he was wearing a special gear that suppresses his power. They realized that Izuku is in a league of his own. Back to the fight. As All Might continued to get his ass whooped, Izuku ended the combo with the primary lotus. Izuku had stepped away from the creator, knowing full well that the fight was far from over. It wasn't until Izuku heard a laugh. "Ha ha ha, you fight well, my boy, time to go all out." Izuku saw the restraints that held All Might's power back were now broken, but this was a chance of a lifetime to fight the number 1 hero at full power. All Might got up and charged at Izuku at full speed and sent a smash into his gut, causing blood to be coughed up. As Izuku was down on his knees trying to get some oxygen, All Might towered over him. "All Might, is this the limit of your power? How pathetic, not even worth my time." "Izuku, Sixth gate of joy open. Izuku had opened 6 of the 8 gates. His skin turned red and a blue and green aura had surrounded his body. When he finished powering up, just stared at All Might. It was a standstill. Izuku vanished faster than he did and landed a leaf hurricane on All Might without missing a beat. Izuku caught up to All Might and smashed his metal prosthetic hand into his face. Observation room. Ojiro, I can't believe my eyes, it's the 8-gate formation. Sato, what's the 8-gate formation? Ojiro, it allows the user to unlock the limiters on the body which increase speed and power. Katsuki, what's so great about it? Ojiro, this technique is far greater than any strength enhancement quirk. I dare say Izuku could probably beat All Might. Momo, do you know what happens if he opens all 8? Ojiro, he'll die. The 8th gate is only meant as a last resort. Everyone was in shock to see how powerful their classmate really was. Back to the fight. Izuku didn't give All Might any breathing room, so he began to throw punches at an incredible speed that fireballs were heading towards All Might, Morning Peacock. All Might saw a multitude of fireballs going towards him, so he decided to counter with smashes of his own after the smoke settled. 7th gate of shock open. Daytime Tiger. Before All Might got chomped on, he held the tiger off as he knew he was losing ground quickly. He only had one option left. Screw it, New Hampshire Smash. He jumped into the mouth of the tiger and literally put his fist through Izuku's chest. When he saw what he had done, he was devastated and shocked when suddenly Izuku popped into a cloud of smoke. Izuku Rinnegan. Izuku shouted as he used the Hiroshin to teleport behind All Might in order to end the fight quickly. As All Might was still on the ground, Izuku pulled out quirk restraints cuffs and captured All Might. The announcement went out: All Might has been successfully captured. Izuku passes. Izuku and All Might are taken to the observation room by medical robots. Upon arrival, Momo leaps into Izuku's arms as she began to shout, "You did it, I'm so proud." Then it was followed by all his classmates except Katsuki, but deep down he wanted to congratulate him. Aizawa, Izuku, congratulations on passing. Izuku, thank you, sensei. Aizawa, now that the exams are over, you'll have the rest of today off, then on Monday report here and we'll head out to the training camp. The students began to converse about plans, so Izuku talked to Sato and Tokoemi about hanging out at his house. The two were up for it, but then Izuku decided to have a pool party for Class 1A, so while everyone was in their own groups, Izuku spoke up. Izuku, hey guys, who's up for a pool party this weekend at my pad? 1A, alright. Izuku, just bring snacks and if you want to spend the night, sleeping bags. Now everyone was excited to party before the training camp officially began. Chapter 35. It was Saturday morning around 8 a.m. Izuku prepared his place for the party. He had prepared everything the night before so that when his guests would arrive they wouldn't have to wait long to eat. He also told his guests to arrive around noon, so he had plenty of time. Izuku also had taken a day off from training since training camp would start Monday, and he wanted to know what it's like to be a teen. Izuku made shadow clones to handle last-minute food prep while he sat down and watched TV. Without realizing what happened, he fell asleep while the clones worked. Izuku slept. After a few hours, the clones heard the doorbell, so one of the clones answered it, and the whole class was ready to party. Upon entering Izuku's home, they saw multiple clones of him, and one sleeping on the couch. His classmates were confused. "Clone, he knocked out a while back. Out, give it a second," the clone said as his poofed in front of everyone, and they saw Izuku wake up. "Sorry guys, let's get this party started." He showed everyone where the pool and bathroom were. After that, the guys had quickly jumped into the pool. "Tokoemi, aren't you gonna join us?" Izuku, "Yeah, I will, but do you guys want me to start making food now or later?" Sato, "I vote later, man, just hang with us." All of 1A agreed, and Izuku walked back inside of his home to get his phone and a spray. Many thought the spray was sunscreen. Izuku, "Momo, can you spray my prosthetic please?" Momo, "Sure." The girls looked at his amazing well-sculpted body. The guys were wondering what kind of workout you had to do in order to get sculpted like that. Momo, "So what did I spray you with?" Izuku, "It's anti-rust spray, it's also waterproof." Izuku picked up Momo bridal style and jumped into the pool. Everyone was having fun. Some of the guests were getting hungry and thirsty. "Ida, excuse me Izuku, do you have anything to drink?" Izuku, yeah, Ida, feel free to grab anything from the fridge I stocked up for today with water, soda, and juice. Ida dried himself off and got juice from the kitchen. They suddenly stopped when he saw a bottle of alcohol on the counter near the fridge. He grabbed the bottle and returned to the pool. Ida, Izuku, care to explain this? Izuku, Ida, that's a gift for someone. Ida, how did you obtain this? Izuku, I worked as a delivery boy for the brewery that made the alcohol. Now please put it back, my friend will be here to pick it up. Kaminari, dude, you're like an adult. Then Jiru smacked him upside the head for stating the obvious. What was that for? Shouted Kaminari after receiving a hard smack. A few minutes later they see an elderly man walk up the steps when he asked the teens. Excuse me, is Izuku available to talk? Izuku, Sorihiko-san. Sorihiko, sorry to drop in on you while you're having a party. Izuku, it's okay, no worries. Let me get that gift I promise you. Izuku came back with the expensive bottle of sake for Gran Torino. Thanks, kid, appreciate this. Sorihiko left after receiving the gift, not wanting to ruin his grandson's party. Izuku, so who's hungry? Izuku said as he came back to his guests, only to see them lift their hands in the air. He grabbed his shirt and went to the grill. Oh, before I forget, please feel free to watch anything on TV. Guys, I also have a game room. Izuku made a clone to escort the guys to the game room, and it was a gamer's paradise. When they saw the Switch, everyone was glad they brought their own Switches and controllers. Clone, enjoy. When the food's ready, I'll send a clone to come get you guys. After that, the clone was undone, and the real Izuku was now cooking hamburgers, hot dogs, corn, chicken, and steak. With the girls. Mina, geez, Momo, you got the best boyfriend. Momo, I sure do. Before the conversation could continue, they were interrupted by Izuku's phone getting a text. Hey Izuku, happy early birthday, please take care and hope you've made many friends who will celebrate on with you on Monday. Chio. Mina, who's Chio? Momo, not sure, but I just learned my boyfriend's birthday is the day training camp begins. So the girls quickly went to find Tan. They told them what they discovered and began to plan a little surprise for him. Before more planning could be done, they decided to hold off so Izuku doesn't learn about this surprise. Then a few seconds later, a clone comes in and tells them that food is ready. After a few more hours, they decide to sit around the fire pit opposite of where the pool is located. It was a great day, everyone had fun, but then it came time for everyone to go home. When he asked everyone if they were going to stay, they said no, but what he didn't know was that it was their plan to go home so they could communicate without him knowing about the surprise party. Chapter 36. It was the day of the training camp. Everyone from 1A had gotten to school earlier than they were told since they wanted to tell Aizawa about their plan to surprise Izuku. Aizawa was one of the teachers who hardly showed emotion, but when it came to Izuku, he wanted to make the day special, so he agreed. After a few hours, it was the meeting time, and Izuku had finally arrived, packed and ready to head out. As everyone boarded the bus, they brought out some card games, MP3 players, or a book to occupy their time. Momo had fallen asleep on Izuku's shoulder. Izuku tried to stay still so he wouldn't wake Momo up. After a few hours, they pulled up to the side of the road Aizawa had told them to stretch. They then saw a car approaching from the opposite direction, then it pulled into the spot next to the bus. The car opened up to reveal 2 of the 4 members of the Wild Wild Hussycats. Hey Eraser, long time no see. Aizawa, hello Mandalay. Mandalay, wow Eraser, you've kept your whole class this year. Aizawa, they've shown some potential. Alright, we're finished stretching and back on the bus. Everyone was boarding the bus and Izuku was the last to board until Aizawa stopped him. Izuku, I have a special assignment for you. Izuku, what is it? Aizawa, I want you to traverse through this entire forest only using your hand-to-hand skills to make it to camp. Izuku, can I use the blade in my arm? Izuku said as he brought out the blade, which Aizawa agreed to let him use that. If you make it to you'll get a special reward. Izuku nodded, hoping to make it to the campgrounds quickly, so he jumped off the cliff side of the mountain where they were parked. Aizawa told the bus driver to hurry and make it to the campsite quickly until Mandalay contacted him via telepathy link. Not to worry Aizawa, the party is ready. Why do you have a soft spot for the kid? Mandalay asked, and Aizawa answered without hesitation. The kid was abandoned on this day and grew up in an orphanage. He had to throw away his childhood to become a man at an early age. So please have Pixie Bob delay him. With Izuku. As Izuku had leaped down from where the bus was and safely landed at the bottom where the forest began. He then heard rustling in the bushes, thinking it was the wildlife that was in the woods, but saw an army of dirt Spartans. Spartans made of dirt from Pixie Bob's quirk. Izuku, shit, this won't be easy. With Class 1A. Aizawa, alright class, when we get to the campsite make sure to help prepare the area for the party. This will be your last chance to relax before training officially begins tomorrow. A few hours later. After a few hours of fighting Pixie Bob's Spartan army made of dirt, Izuku had finally arrived to the camp only to see that it was completely dark. None of the cabin lights were on. As he walked to the center, "Hello?" he shouted, hoping to get the attention of anybody. That's when the lights had turned on, and everyone shouted, "Surprise, happy birthday!" He indeed was surprised that they planned this. That's when Momo had embraced him and kissed him. "Hope you were surprised." "Izuku, what's all this?" Momo, "Well, we planned this surprise party for you." Izuku, "How did you know it was my birthday?" Mina, "During the barbecue party you got a text from a woman named Chio." Aizawa, "You have Recovery Girl in your contacts?" Izuku, "I didn't know that was also Recovery Girl's name. Chio was my caretaker when I lived in the orphanage." Before the awkward silence set in, Sato and Tokoyami had come out with a large 3-layer chocolate cake. "Happy birthday, bud!" This caused the mood to brighten up a bit. On top of the cake was a lone candle with the help of Todoroki, who lit the candle. Both classes of 1A and 1B sang happy birthday and waited for Izuku to blow the candle out. Without hesitation, he blew the candle out. "Kaminari, what did you wish for?" Kaminari got smacked upside the head by everyone for asking that question. Mina/Toru, "Kaminari, don't you know that your wish won't come true if you tell people?" Izuku, "It's fine, my wish never came true in all 16 years of my life. Maybe one day I can reach it. I gave up wishes because they never came true." Momo, "So Aiza, what did you wish for before?" Izuku, "I wanted a family. I wanted a mom, dad, brother or sister. I wanted a forever home, a place to be able to come back to one day." Monoma, "Boo-hoo, baby wants a family, how sad. I always thought 1A was better." Before Itsuka Kendo could knock out Monoma, vines trapped him in a form of a cross. Many turned and saw the saint of 1B, Shiozaki, aways. Shiozaki, "How dare you speak ill of my friend, best pray for forgiveness now." Izuku, "Thank you all for this little surprise. I'm going to take a stroll." Izuku said before leaving. He stabbed a kunai onto the table. Unknown to them, Aizawa had recorded the whole thing and sent it to All Might. With All Might and Inko. Toshi, "Hey honey, I got a message from Aizawa." Inko, "What is it?" Toshi, "It's a video." What played next was Izuku revealing what he wished for the most, and that's when it hit the two. They had forgotten about Izuku. They never mentioned to him about them having another kid. Back to Izuku. As Izuku began to wander the woods and found a little trail which led to a cave. Upon getting to the top of, Izuku found someone else. "Who are you?" Izuku, "Sorry, I was taking a walk and found this trail." "Wait, weren't you with Mandalay earlier?" "Yeah, and you're the kid they made the party for." Izuku, "Yeah, that's me." "And Izuku, what's your name?" "Koda, and Izumi Koda." Izuku, "You remind me a lot of the water hose heroes. I met them once, they were really great heroes." Koda, "You met my mom and dad?" Izuku, "Yeah, they came to Sunshine Orphanage. They told us what it meant to be a hero. I was devastated when I heard they died." Koda, "Orphanage? You don't have any family either?" Izuku, "I grew up by myself. I had to learn things the hard way." "You have Mandalay, she's your family, isn't she?" Koda, "Yes, she's my aunt." Izuku, "I would have killed to be in your position to have any form of family like that growing up. She probably gave up on looking for a boyfriend." Koda, "What do you mean?" Izuku, "Have you ever seen her go out on a date or look for a boyfriend?" Koda, "Come to think of it, no, Eve never seen her do that." Izuku, "She's probably given up on finding a boyfriend so that she can raise you to be the young man that your parents wanted you to be." Koda, "You think so?" Izuku, I know so. You may feel abandoned, but you have an aunt who is willing to raise you. If she didn't care about you, she would have dropped you off at an orphanage. A hero is someone willing to protect the future. Izuku and Kota spent time talking the young boy to finally understand that his parents died for a future. They walked back down to the campsite to be greeted by Mandalay. Before Izuku departed to shower, he handed a copy of Tales of a Gutsy Ninja to Kota, hoping the boy would enjoy the story. Chapter 37. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. Kota was wide awake reading Tales of a Gutsy Ninja under his covers with a flashlight pen. He could somewhat relate to the enemy ninja when he told the protagonist, "If you kill me, no another will rise and take my place. As long as we live in this cursed ninja world, there can never be true peace." This section of the story made Kota agree. As long as there are heroes and villains, the possibility of true peace can never be real. He continued to read, wondering what the protagonist would respond with. "If there's no such thing as peace, then I'll be the one to find it, and never let it go. I'll be the one to end the cycle of hatred." Kota felt he had gotten a bit more understanding on what a hero's job was about, but he needed to talk to Izuku to see if what his guess about the job was right. Kota closed his eyes and fell asleep. As hours passed, he woke up at 11 a.m. Since reading Tales of a Gutsy Ninja took up a lot of his sleep time, his body needed to recover. It was currently a 15-minute break for the students, who were pushing themselves farther than before. Kota searched around trying to find Izuku until he spotted him in a massive crater. "Kota, hey, you got a minute?" "Izuku, yeah, let me get out of the hole." Izuku pumped chakra into his legs and super jumped out of the crater, letting him reach Kota. "What's up, need something?" Izuku asked, since the boy had a hatred for heroes. "Kota, I wanted to return the book you lent me. It's a great story." Izuku, "No need, keep it, I've got my own copy." Kota, "Thanks, I also need to know about the ending. Does the character mean he'll never stop searching for peace, or does he mean he'll protect it until he dies?" Izuku, "Let me answer you with a question. In a game of shogi, who do you think the king represents today in age?" Kota, "Is it the government?" Izuku, "No, it's the children." Kota, "The children? How are we the king?" Izuku, "The children are the future. They are the ones who will be inspired to maintain the peace that heroes of the past have given their lives for." Kota slowly began to understand the greater sacrifice that his parents did. They died to protect the future of the world. "Thank you, Eve. Got some things to do. I'll see you around." Kota had left, leaving Izuku back to work on his techniques. Kota began to look for his Aunt Mandalay. When he found her, she wasn't very busy, only giving advice and suggestions to students who wanted a second opinion. He lightly tugged her costume to get her attention. "Hey Kota, what's up?" Kota wanted to apologize for being a brat after everything she's done for him. He was unsure about how to apologize, but tried his best. "Kota, Auntie, I just want to say I'm sorry I've been a brat. I'm sorry if I seem ungrateful. Until recently I learned what a hero's real job is. I'm sorry that you had to take care of me." Mandalay couldn't find any words to respond. She knelt down to her nephew and gave him a tight hug. "Mandalay, this seems like family affair. I'll watch the kittens for you," Tiger said, which allowed her and Kota to leave to talk in private. Once alone, they began to talk. "Mandalay, Kota, look at me." Kota did as she asked him to do, only for him to be met with teary eyes. "Mandalay, Kota, I'm happy now you understand what a hero's job is. What hurts me is that you think taking you in was a mistake. When your mommy and daddy died, I promised them that I would raise you to be an amazing young man. I also promised them I would adopt you and raise you like you were my own son." Kota couldn't say anything else. He sat quietly listening to his aunt talk. He didn't know she wanted to adopt him. "Kota, did you really want to adopt me?" Mandalay, "Yes, Kota, you see, part of my dream was always to have my own family." Kota, "Did becoming a hero take up too much time for that to happen?" Mandalay, "No, before you were born I was married shortly to someone, and we tried to have a baby, but after 2 tries nothing happened, so the doctor ran some tests, and told me I could never have a baby. He divorced me and I never dated again, so when the news about your mom and dad came to me I decided to take you in, and I never regretted the decision." The two had shared a hug as they cried together when suddenly Mandalay heard loud chirping from behind her, only to see Kota's left hand holding lightning. Mandalay, "Kota, you have Grandpa's quirk." Kota, "Did he have lightning too?" Mandalay, He sure did just like you. His right hand shot water and his left hand could shoot lightning. Kota, can I train with the other students? Mandalay, sure, but we need help from the student who has a lightning quirk. Kota, no, I think Izuku could help. Mandalay, okay, let's see him then. As they went to see Izuku, Mandalay saw him holding lightning while she noticed scorched marks on the trees. When they saw Izuku charge and knock down the tree, she knew he'd be a great teacher for Kota. Mandalay, Izuku, so you have a second? Izuku, what's up? Mandalay, do you think you can teach Kota to control his newly awakened lightning quirk? As Kota demonstrated his newly awakened quirk, Izuku was impressed. Izuku, sure, I'll train him. He'll be an expert when he's done learning from me. Chapter 38. When Mandalay and Kota approached Izuku, they saw him hold lightning in his hand and rush toward a tree, striking it only to leave a large hole through the tree. Mandalay, Izuku, would it be too much trouble for you to teach Kota to use his lightning? Izuku, not at all, I'll teach him. When the break was over, Izuku started Kota off with a couple of lightning affinity exercises through some old scrolls he had come across. It was safe to say Kota had learned the basics like a natural. This training went on for a while. Izuku had also handed Kota some water affinity scrolls in order to balance out his quirk properly. It was thanks to these scrolls that Kota was able to use his quirk in a multitude of ways. After 3 hours of training, it was lunchtime. As everyone was eating, Izuku felt a disturbance on one of his sensory seals he tagged in the forest. He got up from his seat to look for the Wild Hussycats team and the chaperone teachers. When he spotted them, they were also eating. Aizawa, Izuku, is everything okay? Izuku, no, we got villains who will raid us at night. The heroes looked shocked at the information he had just dropped on them. Aizawa, how do you know this? Izuku, when I came to the camp through the forest, I placed sensory seals and made clones henge into animals in nature so I could keep an eye out. Vlad, what do you suggest we do? Pack up and leave? Izuku, that's the plan. I can use my Haration to teleport all of us back to my house. Aizawa, won't the villains notice? Izuku, not at all, because while we're gone, I'll have enough clones henged into everyone here. Board the bus and leave. When the villains attack and kidnap the Bakugo clone, I'll have their exact location, and heroes can raid their base. Aizawa, how are you sure they'll be after Bakugo? Izuku, his personality fits more towards the villain's agenda. The teachers present didn't argue with that fact, since Bakugo has a bit of an unstable personality. Mandalay, how do we tell all the students without the villains knowing our movements? Izuku, really, Mandalay? Mandalay, what? Izuku, use your quirk. Mandalay felt a little slow for not thinking that sooner before she asked a dumb question. Mandalay, alright, when do we leave? Izuku, now, that way the villains believe that we're still training. Pack your bags. Mandalay had activated her quirk and made the following announcement. Students of 1A and 1B in Kota, please report to the main lodge with your luggage. We will be conducting a contraband search. After the announcement went out, everyone was confused as to why a contraband search was happening now, and why the child who lived with Mandalay was being searched as well. When everyone arrived with their luggage, they saw serious expressions on the teachers' faces. Aizawa, alright students, there is no contraband check. We made that up because thanks to Izuku we can get away from a sneak attack villains have planned against us. The classes were shocked to hear that villains had found them, even though the camp was supposed to be a secret. Izuku, don't freak out everyone, I can teleport all of us to my home instantly. Momo, why are the villains here? Izuku, they're here for him. Izuku said as he pointed at Katsuki Bakugo, who held an angry expression at being blamed. Katsuki, why are you so sure they're after me, orphan bastard? Izuku, they believe you're going to be easily persuaded into becoming a villain. It would benefit their agenda and make it worldwide news, saying UA failed, making the world plunge onto chaos. Aizawa, alright students, make sure you don't forget anything because we're leaving immediately. The Hussycats and Kota had grabbed all they could take. Once ready, Izuku would prepare 47 clones to replace everyone at the camp. When all preparations were done, everyone grabbed onto Izuku to make their getaway, leaving 47 clones henged like everyone present in the camp. Each clone was tagged with a tracker and a high damage resistance seal so the clone wouldn't pop easily. with Izuku. Izuku and everyone were happy to be safe and sound, but it wasn't over yet. Once the League kidnapped their target, they would broadcast to the world, so they had to quickly contact every media station and inform them about the truth before the public loses hope. As the group made their way to UA upon the arrival, Nizu wasn't surprised and made the call to all media stations and parents. All that was left to do was wait for the villains to strike. Back with the clones. All the clones had gotten on the bus and departed from camp just as Izuku had planned. 10 minutes later, the bus was attacked by the villains. Among them was Muscular. The Izuku clone decided to kill him in order to avenge the water hose duo and not have to worry about him during the LOV raid. Just as Izuku predicted, the Katsuki clone had been taken. All was going to plan. The other clones had popped, and all information was sent to the original. Back to the original. Izuku was laughing somewhat uncontrollably. Everyone around him was concerned now. Izuku, the villains took the bait. Now turn a TV or watch your phone service get cut now. Just as he said, all scheduled programming had come to a halt. All phones began to broadcast the video. Shigaraki. Hello world, I am the leader of the League of Villains, ha ha ha. I've taken a hostage Katsuki Bakugan. Now world, hear this, your precious heroes allowed this boy to be taken. The world began to lose hope for heroes, but they heard laughter. It was from Bakugan, who was chained to the seat. Clone, yo numb nuts, you didn't capture anyone. The clone dropped the hinge and revealed an Izuku clone. The world was confused at this point. Shigaraki, I captured you, hero in training known as Pain. Clone, nope, I'm a clone, but before I go, let me give you a few gifts. The clone removed two things from his person, one seal and the tracker that was planted on him, and placed them onto Shigaraki's hand. Shigaraki, what the hell is this? Clone, one is a tracker. Heroes will be raiding you and your Noma factory, the other I'll just show you. Release. A shockwave slammed everyone in the bar to the walls as they weren't expecting that to happen. Clone, similar to the almighty push but on a weaker level. Later numb nuts have fun getting raided. The clone had popped into thin air while the world was happy nobody was taken. All that was left to do now was wait for the villain's arrest. During the broadcast, all top-ranking heroes had left to raid the hideouts. Chapter 39. The villains had just recovered enough to try and make a getaway, but unfortunately the raid had already begun. When all the heroes had taken down every member of the LOV, then suddenly everyone was teleported away. Moments prior at Noma Factory. The hero team sent to destroy the Noma factory had been given the green light to being their mission. Something at the pit of their stomachs made it feel that this was far too easy since they weren't facing any resistance. Suddenly they began to hear slow clapping. Excellent work, heroes. I'm impressed with how quick you get to work. The hero Best Jeanist had quickly wrapped the person with his cloth fiber quirk. Gangorka had reprimanded him for assaulting a civilian, but saw the man break free from Best Jeanist's quirk and blast them with a shockwave. Thinking on his feet, Best Jeanist had saved the team he was working with in order to prevent them from getting severely hurt. The villain was surprised at the reflexes Best Jeanist had so stabbed him in the abdomen. After that, he opened up black portals that brought the other members of the League to his position. Shigaraki was told by his mentor to escape and lay low once again, then strike when the world least expects it. Shigaraki begged his mentor to come with them but denied his student's request. All of a sudden, All Might came crashing down in front of the man as he shouted his name. All for one. The two men clashed, with All Might being careful this time since Izuku patched him up once and didn't want to relive that experience again. The villain now known as All for One pushed his disciple into Kurogyri and sent them away. So the battle with All Might raged on, neither giving the other any ground. With Izuku. As Izuku and many others were at UA observing the fight, everyone believed that All Might will prevail against the villain. Without anyone noticing, Izuku left but had a clone take his place. The only one who noticed was Momo. Izuku had gone to classroom 1A and grabbed his suit to get dressed because he knew All Might was going to need help and no other hero would be able to stand against All for One. Momo, what are you doing, Izu? Izuku froze and slowly turned to see his girlfriend with both hands on her hips as she waited for a response. Izuku knew he could never lie to his girl, so the best decision was to come clean. Izuku, I'm gonna help All Might. None of the other heroes will stand a chance against that villain. Momo, what makes you think you'll have a better chance to fight that villain equally? Izuku, My quirk is basically god tier. I know I can take this villain down. Momo, I'll let you leave but under a few conditions. Izuku, okay. What are your conditions? Momo, I want to go on a lot of dates. Izuku, done. Momo, I want to move in with you. Izuku, are you serious? Momo, yup, I don't want my boyfriend to feel alone anymore. Izuku, done. Anything else? Momo, I want you to marry me and take my virginity on the night of our honeymoon. At the last request, Izuku went wide-eyed since it caught him off guard. He didn't know what to say, so his reply was like autopilot. Consider it done, he said when suddenly the news on Momo's phone announced All Might had sustained a dreadful stomach injury. The couple looked at the screen to see All Might on his knees holding his heavily bleeding injury. Izuku took that as the sign to make his appearance, but before leaving, Izuku decided to give Momo one passionate kiss. I swear I'll come back to you, he said, then vanished using his Hiraishin. On the battlefield. As All Might just sustained another stomach wound, he was on his knees suffering, knowing that no matter what hero shows up to help him, their quirk won't do much damage to AFO. All Might, don't give up, a woman trapped under rubble shouted as she witnessed the battle up close and personal. AFO, how about I show the world that their precious symbol of peace is powerless? AFO used his tendrils to grab the woman and tossed her into the air like a rag doll. He then transformed his arm using his bone-like spear's quirk. He then mimicked All Might's victory pose while he waited for the woman to be impaled. All Might could do nothing but look on like a helpless bystander until he heard a familiar voice. Dynamic entry OFA 80%. AFO was sent skidding across asphalt while the mysterious young man caught the woman and with a smile told her, "A hero is here." Izuku made 3 clones, one to take the civilian to safety, while the other 2 healed All Might. Clone Izu, geez dad, you really slipped up this time. I don't deserve to be called that. Your mother and I neglected you again, then forgot to mention about your new sibling. Clone Izu, it's okay, I wanted to be forgotten, but somewhere deep down I wanted you to keep chasing after me, but you didn't. No, I'm sorry, how about when this is finished we start over, what do you say? Clone Izu, I'd really like that. Suddenly AFO had charged back to the spot he was knocked away from. He then made an announcement that would rock the foundation of the world. AFO, well, if it isn't the abandoned son of All Might and Kinetics. The world just received a massive wake-up call. All Might and Kinetics had a son and gave him up. AFO, have you come here to save your pathetic excuse of father? Izuku, I came to save my father, but I also came to take you down. AFO, you and what army? Izuku, this army. Izuku bit his left thumb and whipped it across his right palm, then began to make a long series of hand signs, summoning jutsu. Then standing by his side were all his predecessors. The world was yet again in awe as they saw former heroes like Lariat and Paragon appear. Hisashi, it's time for us to end this once and for all. AFO, foolish little brother, I've done away with that name. If you believe you can finish me off, you're welcome to try. Back at UA. All students at the campus and watching this live feed had just discovered their own classmate was the son of All Might. They all had questions that needed answers and would ask when they got a chance since his clone vanished. Chapter 40. After Izuku had summoned all his predecessors, he had the appropriate army to finally take down AFO. There was also an All Might Prime standing by his side, a version of his father when he first confronted AFO. First, Hisashi, I swear that you will fall on this night. AFO, foolish little brother, you and your successors are free to try and stop me like before. Know this, you'll all fail like you did in the past. Little did AFO know that every holder of One for All has gotten far more powerful than the last time he had faced them due to Izuku training with his predecessors every time he meditated. So began an intense stare down. Neither side made a move until all 9 One for All users had activated their own versions of full cowling while using what little embers remained within them. All 9 OFA users rushed AFO and began their assault on the villain. The power of the 9 OFA users was incredible. AFO was useless as he was tossed in the air. Suddenly a shock wave sent Izuku and his predecessors flying in different directions, and it was then AFO's turn to attack after sending his tendrils to impale one of the 9. It was futile. All previous OFA holders had expected to face the same attack patterns he used during their first encounter. Frustration began to set in AFO's head as he couldn't land any attack. What he failed to notice was that all 9 OFA users stopped attacking and stood in a weird formation. Izuku, everyone in position? His predecessors had answered his question and pulled out a seal tag, placing it on the ground while Izuku performed a series of long hand signs. Once completed, he executed his original sealing technique. United Nations barrier. AFO, what's this? Foolish child, you're trapped in here with me. Izuku, that may be true, but my predecessors have entrusted me with taking you down. AFO, let us end this, boy. Izuku, 6th gate of joy open. The fight was fully visible for a news helicopter to film the entire fight. The whole world was able to witness the power All Might's son possessed. AFO, it's been so long since I fought a master of the 8 inner gates. Let's see if you're stronger. Along with activating the 6th gate, Izuku activated full cowling at 50%. Izuku had begun his assault. Izuku, morning peacock. The hydrogen in the air was ignited by Izuku's punches and the fireballs turned blue due to OFA's power boost. Once Izuku's barrage of punches died down, Izuku knew that was too easy, so he kept his guard up. As AFO had gotten up with a torn suit, Izuku knew he'd have to step it up even farther. 7th gate of shock open. Izuku's power once again skyrocketed. As the 7th gate was opened, he went through another set of hand signs. Daytime tiger. What surprised Izuku was that AFO held the tiger's teeth open, as that allowed him to impale Izuku in the same place All Might was stabbed. AFO, ha ha ha, just like your pathetic father, injured in the same place. Izuku was doing his best to smile. Since the world was watching, he had to show them everything would be okay. Izuku continued to smile. AFO, ha 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 ha, just like Paragon, you'll die with a smile. Izuku, can I just say something? AFO, make it quick, you'll die by my hand. Izuku, you can forget about me dying. AFO, fool, even if you did pass on OFA, this endless cycle of hate will continue. Izuku, that's where you're wrong, they'll be the one to break this cycle of hate. AFO, announce your name to the world before I kill you. Izuku, I am the hero who bears the suffering of the world. I am pain. 8th gate of death open. Izuku had used his last resort, the 8th gate. His hair turned blood red as he had a blood red aura around him. AFO, red vapor, the unique vapor of blood from opening all 8 gates, but now actually seeing it again, it looked like the color of dead autumn leaves that have fallen off their tree. Izuku, you're right, but the leaves don't fall without reason or purpose. They become the nutrients for the fresh green leaves. Izuku began his Sekizo barrage, which now allowed him a godlike wind cannon attack due to OFA. When the first 5 stages of Sekizo landed, AFO shot bone spears at Izuku. As AFO's attack headed towards Izuku, there was no need to worry since Izuku slapped a Hyroshin seal onto AFO's back. Izuku Hyroshined behind AFO and struck him with a ferocious punch that made AFO cough up blood. What Izuku heard next was the maniacal laughter of AFO. AFO, it's been a while since Eve had this much fun in a fight. Tell me you can still dance. He got up from a Sekizo barrage, and I was going 100% with OFA active. Is this guy human? All I've got left is Night Guy. So Izuku prepared himself for the final attack. He dug his hands and into the street, and prepared to charge up the last of his strength when his chakra formed a dragon. A peculiar thing happened. The blood-red aura and dragon faded from his body and was replaced by a rainbow aura due to One for All being access to the maximum potential. Izuku, charge. Izuku began running at max speed while AFO was getting exited by the second due to someone being far more powerful than him. AFO, yes, I declare you strongest among all your predecessors. Spring-like limbs, kinetic booster x4, strength booster x3, rivets, spear-like bones. As Izuku was running at inhuman speeds, AFO was waiting to impale Izuku, but then AFO noticed his arm snap inward. AFO, this power is able to bend space. Izuku, Night Guy. Izuku dropped kick AFO while leading with his right leg. He felt an excruciating pain while AFO was dragged through the ground. Izuku believed his final moments had come. What he couldn't feel was his right leg, so he got up and balanced himself on the left leg as he posed the same way his father did. The barrier had come down and other heroes plus police had come to restrain AFO. Izuku was standing on his left leg unconscious. He was gently picked to rush and get him medical attention. Chapter 41. Upon the end of Izuku's fight with AFO, he was quickly rushed to the hospital due to the missing right leg. AFO was secured with a quirk restraint jacket. The only quirk that was allowed active was his regenerative one, since due to the right side having been slowly regenerating after that godlike attack. The paramedics were able to rush Izuku to the hospital only to be greeted with reporters who desperately wanted to know the truth if he was All Might and Kinetic's biological son. Police were sent to the hospital to provide escort service so the young man doesn't die due to the press obstructing hospital staff. After being admitted into the hospital, they hooked up Izuku to heart rate and brain wave monitors as they tried to get him fitted for a prosthetic leg and a new arm. After all appropriate measures were taken to make Izuku stable, all they could do next was wait and see. All Might stayed by his son's side. The Izuku clone healed him completely after Izuku took over the fight. 30 minutes later, Inko and the Yaoyorozu had arrived at the hospital. The Yaoyorozu family was welcome to wait. Although the atmosphere was tense, nobody could strike up a conversation until Momo asked, "Momo, why did you give up an amazing person like Izuku?" Before either All Might and Inko could give her a response, from the door they heard another voice. They were too scared of being parents at 20 years old. When everyone turned to the door, Momo recognized who it was, and it was none other than Gran Torino. "Momo, Gran Torino, why are you here?" "GT, I'm here to see my grandson. All Might is my adopted son." Everyone's eyes went wide as All Might himself was an orphan and put his own son before they could yell at him for his stupid mistake. They decided to put that on hold for now. The room fell dead quiet until Gran Torino spoke to the unconscious body of Izuku. "GT, hey kid, how about when you're out of the hospital we go to the spot and have some taiyaki?" Momo noticed Izuku's fingers twitch. She had a smile. "Momo," Gran Torino talked to him more. His hand twitched. Gran Torino looked and saw his grandson's fingers twitch, which brought a smile to his face. "GT, how about we buy a junker car and fix it up, just me and you, make some great memories?" That was all GT could think of before Momo took her turn and thought of everything she wanted to do with Izuku. "Momo, Aiza, please wake up. Remember, you owe me a lot of dates. Then we'll get married after you, eh? Then in a few years we'll be high-ranking pros. If we're still in our mid to late 20s, we'll start a family. So please wake up, Aiza, for me," she said as she planted a kiss on his forehead. In that moment she heard a familiar voice. "I must be in heaven. My angel looks like Momo." "Momo, Aiza, you're alive." Moments prior to waking up, Izuku was in his mindscape as he stood before his predecessors after the fight with AFO. "Izuku, looks like I'm about to join you sooner than expected." "Nana, no kid, it's not your time yet. We'll show you what happened." As Nana showed Izuku what happened after the blood vapor faded and was replaced by a rainbow aura. "Izuku, so does this mean I'm still alive?" "Nana, yes you are, but don't worry, you're in a hospital now." "Izuku, how though the 8th gate of death was supposed to kill me?" "First, I believe it's due to OFA. When your quirk merged with it, there's a possibility that the requirement of the gate of death has changed to gate of sacrifice." After hearing this, Izuku was beginning to believe this might have been the outcome. Before Izuku could continue his conversation with his predecessors, he heard muffled voices. "Nana, it's time for you to wake up. We'll see you around, kid." Pack to present. Izuku was awake and was being sombred by Momo's kisses. She stopped until she remembered that both families were in the room. Momo was embarrassed but didn't care because her boyfriend was alive. "Izuku, did my prosthetic arm get destroyed?" "All Might, yeah, don't worry, I called in a favor to get you a better arm. I also had to get measurements for the right leg." Izuku rubbed his face with his left hand, then he tried to sit up. He didn't freak out, nor did he scream. He laid back down and accepted what has happened. "All Might, we'll give you some space, son." Izuku had tears run down his face as he said, "I don't want to be alone anymore." Inko, Toshi, Sorahiko, Takeshi, Ebina, Momo and the rest of the Yaoyorozu family stayed by the young man's side for the rest of the night. Little did they know big changes were about to come into their lives. Chapter 42. After a few days in the hospital, Izuku was discharged due to him speeding up his recovery with medical ninjutsu. All Might's favor, he called in for the prosthetic arm and leg fell through, so Hatsune Miku was called again. She had made multiple prosthetic arms for Izuku, and she finished the leg in no time. Izuku was getting accustomed to the prosthetic leg slowly, but Momo was always with him during his hospital days, although classes were shut down for a few weeks until Izuku was out, but he knew that it was only time for him to recover, then face his punishment for leaping out into a battlefield. His dad had informed him about UA becoming a boarding school. Other than that, there wasn't anything new going on. 1 week later, Izuku was discharged from the hospital, and he had planned to go to UA in order to face his judgment sooner than later. On the way to school, Izuku, All Might, Inko, and Momo were walking to UA, but they were stopped by a shopkeeper of an antique store. Izuku, hey. Izuku, oh Kazuto, how's it going? Kazuto, it going well. You're a legend right now, taking down a villain not even All Might could. Izuku, yeah, I'd like you to meet my mom, dad, and my girlfriend Momo. As Kazuto saw All Might and kinetics, he almost freaked out but remembered why he called Izuku. Izuku, I found some stuff you might be interested in if you got some time to check it out. Izuku, I'd like to, bud. Toshi, we got time. Izuku, the meeting isn't until 3 hours from now. Kazuto, great, now please come inside. As the group of 4 walked into the shop, they saw many antique furniture sets, books, suits of armor, and so on as they approached the counter. Izuku, Kazuto, what did you find? Kazuto, maybe you'll know what it is since this stuff might be something only you could use. Izuku, I can't believe it. Momo, what exactly is this? Izuku. Izuku, this is the sword of Nidaime Hokage Tobarama Senju. Inko/Toshi/Momo. Who? Izuku, he was a legendary shinobi who lived long ago. He created this sword which many of his enemies feared. Toshi, looks like the blade is broken. Izuku, no it's not. Kazuto, may I? Kazuto, sure, I've been wanting to see what it can do. Izuku picked up the hilt and began to channel chakra into it, causing it to ignite. Upon being ignited, the blade was yellow lightning, and to everyone it reminded them of a lightsaber. Once Izuku stopped channeling chakra into the hilt, the blade deactivated. He looked at the tiny scroll that was on top of the counter, only to see it was Tobarama's sword style. Kazuto, oh yeah, I remember, I have a massive scroll that was fished out of the sea, but surprisingly there was no water damage. Momo, fished out of the sea and no water damage. Kazuto brought the scroll from his office and passed it to Izuku, who again went wide-eyed and was at a loss, as no words could describe what was before his very eyes. All he was Gamma. In a low voice he read Toad. Izuku, Kazuto, what you found right here is the Toad summoning contract. As he opened the scroll, he read 3 names that stood out, and they were Minato Namikaze, Naruto Uzumaki, and Jiraiya. Without hesitation, Izuku took a wad of cash from his wallet and paid Kazuto for everything he showed him. Kazuto, dude, I was gonna give you this stuff since you know what it is. Izuku, just shut up and take my money. I'm paying you because I know what all this is. Kazuto, fair enough. That's all I got for now. I'll keep you posted if I get anything else. Izuku, okay, thanks, I'll see you around. Upon leaving the antique shop, Izuku was ready to head to UA and face the music, so he and his group began to head towards the meeting, but upon his arrival, Nizu and Aizawa were waiting. As Izuku stood before Nizu and Aizawa, he knew that no words he could say to gain forgiveness for his foolish actions. He bowed to Aizawa and Nizu. I'm sorry for jumping into a fight that didn't concern me. Nizu, it's quite alright Izuku, but please kneel. He did as Nizu ordered, then was being smacked repeatedly by his paw. After 5 minutes he was then sprayed with water, and smacked some more with a rolled-up magazine. Once that was done, Aizawa went off on a lecture about Izuku being stupid, but in the end he gave Izuku a hug and said, "You're a good kid, I hope you and your family get closer." Nizu, we're going to make UA into a boarding school, so Mr. and Mrs. Yagi, do you agree to let your son move into the dorms? Toshi/Inko, yes, we approve. Nizu, classes resume on Monday. Students now Aizawa and I must speak the other parents. As Nizu and Aizawa left to speak with parents Izuku, Momo and his parents decided to head back to Izuku's home. At Izuku's house, Izuku had signed the contract in blood and followed the instructions the scroll had. He then went to the backyard. After preforming the hand signs, summoning jutsu, a large orange toad had appeared who had a sword and a cigarette in its mouth. After taking a puff, he put the cigarette out. Who summoned me? Izuku, excuse me, I summoned you. My name is Izuku Yagi. My name is Gamakichi, I'm the current Toad boss. All Might, Inko, and Momo were surprised to see a massive toad with a sword talking to Izuku. Gamakichi, so Izuku, how did you sign the contract? Izuku, a friend of mine said a man fished it out of the sea. Kichi, I see, well, you seem like a good guy, but in order for you to be accepted as THR new Toad Summoner, you gotta share a drink with me, my father, Lord Fukasaku, and Lady Shima. Izuku, are you supplying? Kichi, summon me back in 30 minutes. Chapter 43. The moment arrived, Izuku had packed all his scrolls, weapons, and everything else that was small enough to have in his room at the dorms. He let his parents and grandfather move into the mansion in order for them to keep everything in top condition. He packed his things into the car and drove to UA. Once there, Nizu directed him to the student parking lot where he was allowed to park his car and motorcycle, which he slapped Horatian markers on so he wouldn't waste much gasoline. Upon meeting at that front of the UA dorms, Izuku was rushed by all of his classmates asking questions regarding if he's All Might's son. Before he could answer, Izuku was trying the best to answer their questions. Before this could turn into a full-blown interview, Aizawa put a stop to all of the questions by activating his quirk. Then he began to explain how the dorms work. After the students were assigned rooms, everyone had done their decorating to suit them. When a few hours passed, Mina had suggested a room judging competition. The first room belonged to Izuku, so they were nervous to see the appearance of his room. Before any of the members of Class 1A could walk into his room, they heard a shout. "You're cheating!" The class instantly begins to think which of the guys he's taking to until they realize all of the male classmates are present. It wasn't until they heard another male voice say, "I'm not cheating, you're crazy for accusing me of cheating." The class then barged in and saw Izuku playing cards with 3 toads while the orange one was taking his winnings, only to have cards fall from his happy. "I knew it, you cheating rat bastard!" Izuku shouted. "Izuku boy, why are there other people in your room?" As Izuku turned around, he saw his classmates had walked in his room. Izuku, "Hey guys, what's up?" Mina, "We were doing a room competition until we heard you shout." Tsu, "I didn't know you were friends with Frog's Karo." Gamakichi, "We're Toad's little lady." Kaminari, "It was just unexpected to see you play cards with toads." Izuku, "Yeah, they're good company and bring great sake." Ida, "You're getting drunk on school property?" Izuku, "Relax, it was only so I can be recognized as their next summoner." Momo walked up to him and smelled his breath, and to her surprise it had a strong scent of alcohol. Momo, "How many saucers of sake did you have?" Momo had said with a smiley face while she sounded threatening. Izuku, I only had 2. While the 3 toads heard the girl's tone of voice, they had the same thought: she must know the deadly frying pan jutsu. Aizawa was in the hall and heard the commotion, so he investigated the situation. Aizawa, "What's this I hear about alcohol?" Izuku, "Sensei, well, the alcohol was due to being the next Toad Summoner. It's tradition to share a drink with the elder toads in order to become recognized." Aizawa, "I see, did you purchase the alcohol?" Izuku, "No, the toads make their own sake." Gamabunta, "This is Toad Fire sake, here, have a saucer." Gamabunta, the former boss summoned, said to Aizawa, who accepted the saucer as the drink had touched his tongue, went down the esophagus to the stomach. Aizawa was then unconscious. Gamakichi, "Looks like it was too strong for the guy." Some students grabbed Aizawa by the legs and dragged him to the common room. Gamakichi, "Well kid, we're off later." The toads had gone back to their home while Izuku was left alone with Momo, which he felt terrified when she stood in front of him. He felt arms wrap around his torso. After opening his eyes, he looked down and saw Momo clinging to him. Izuku, "What's wrong?" Momo, "I want to cuddle." Izuku broke the hug, which confused Momo until she saw him close his door and lock it. Izuku then turned back to Momo, lifts her up to begin a make-out session. By the end, they cuddled together until they fell asleep. Chapter 44. Things at school had progressed faster than usual thanks to multiple villain attacks. Nizu believed that this time around his first-year students needed to get their licenses. A few weeks had passed and a majority of Class 1A had succeeded in getting their provisional license. The only ones who failed were Mineta Minoru and Katsuki Bakugu. The reason my neta failed was because he continuously attempted to inappropriately touch other female students after having trapped them with his quirk. When Aizawa had gotten the complaints from the other school's teachers, he knew it was time to drop the pervert from his class and school. Katsuki Bakugo, on the other hand, failed due to ignoring the trained actors who called out for help. This caused a massive amount of deducted points. After a long bus ride back to UA, many were still excited about getting their license. Katsuki was still fuming mad. Instead of doing something stupid, he sulked in his room. Izuku had sent a picture to his family showing them his provisional license. After waiting for a few seconds, his family had sent congratulatory messages. Izuku had just gone to his room and went to bed since he was exhausted. His eyes had become heavy and fell asleep, but he was woken up by a knock at his door. He quickly had opened it. There in front of him had stood Momo Yaoyorozu. Izuku, Momo, what's wrong? Momo, can I sleep with you? Izuku nodded yes, and they slept together, enjoying each other's company. Next day. Once classes were back in session, it was time for the students to go through the work-study program, meaning that those with provisional licenses can now assist in hero work without any consequences. When Aizawa walked into class, behind him were 3 students, one who looked goofy, another that was curious about everything, and the last one was anxiously waiting to get out of there. Aizawa introduced them as the Big Three of UA. Izuku had a feeling that they were there for a reason, but he'd have to wait and see. All students were in their gym uniforms as the goofy-looking guy out of the 3 asked to challenge 1A. Aizawa, standing in front of you all is Mirio Togata, the kid who is to be the next number 2 hero. Mirio/Tamaki/Nijire, number 2, who's number 1. Aizawa pointed directly at Izuku. Izuku, son of all might and kinetics. He is now the closest to number 1 inch. The Big Three were now shocked and had to lift their jaws off the ground. Izuku, Togata, since you want to fight, how about me against the Big Three? Mirio was liking the idea, then quickly agreed, which unknown to him on this day would forever be known as Fall of the Big Three. Once Mirio and his companions had joined him at his side. Aizawa, begin. As the Big Three tried to surround him, Izuku just observed what his opponents were about to do. 7th Gate of Shock open. It was at this moment Mirio regretted taking this fight when Izuku suddenly vanished and appeared in front of Tamaki, only to smash his fist into the 3rd-year student, which made Tamaki drop to the ground. Nijire and Mirio had seen how easily their friend had been taken down. As they dropped their guard for a split second, Izuku appeared in front of Nijire, while using the leaf hurricane technique that sent her flying and indented in the wall. Mirio just charged in and thought he'd be able to hit Izuku, but was dead wrong. When they had enough distance between them, Mirio noticed the kunai aimed for him, but when he phased through, he got a wake-up call. Mirio, who thought he won, received massive back pain after the kunai phased through him. Aizawa, winner Izuku. Class 1A had their jaws to the floor as they had just witnessed the downfall of the Big Three. Izuku had made 2 clones to heal Nijire and Tamaki while he himself healed Mirio. Aizawa just looked at the ass-whooping Izuku handed out and said, "Overconfidence can be your downfall. Izuku, take them to Recovery Girl, class dismissed." Izuku did as he was told and quickly took the Big Three to Recovery Girl for further treatment. After dropping them off, Izuku changed into his uniform so that he could head to the dorms. After reaching the dorms, everyone was sitting down and having tea with the wild Hussycats. "I'm back," he announced his return, only to feel something tackle his legs. He looked down and saw Izumi Kota, the boy he saved. One thing that caught his attention was that he was wearing a sage cloak similar to his. The difference was the color scheme. Kota's cloak was light blue with white flames. Izuku, hey Kota, how've you been? Kota, good, I've been training hard too. Izuku, I'm glad to hear. What are you and the Hussycats doing here? Before the WWPC could explain, Ida had cut into their conversation. Ida, well, my fellow classmate, the WWPC have been offered a spot to teach here at UA alongside Pro number 13. Izuku, that's amazing. Mandalay, actually there's one more thing. Izuku, what is it? Kota, please make me your student. I have someone that I want to protect. I want to be strong. Izuku's hair covered his eyes, then looked the boy straight in the eyes. If you want to be my disciple, then let's go outside. Everyone followed them to see what Izuku was going to have Kota do. He had the boy stand across from him. Izuku, If you want me to teach you, then you'll have to take this bell from me, but come at me with the intent to kill. Kota, okay. Although Kota had been training, he wasn't anywhere near his hero's level, but he did have a wild card up his sleeve. Kota rushed Izuku and began throwing punches, kicks, elbows, and knees in hopes of trying to find an opening. Izuku was impressed with the boy's technique. He also noticed he was using the Nico style of fighting, even though it was the bastardized version. This made Izuku even more interested in teaching the boy. Kota backed off to catch his breath and began to use his quirk, Feeding Frenzy. The boy shouted, and emerging from his hand shot out piranha-shaped water blasts. On the sideline, the teens were impressed that Kota had trick like that. Momo then asked, "I thought his quirk was water gun." Mandalay, well, during the camp the second half of his quirk awoke. Ida, second half? Many were confused on how it was possible. Then Mandalay broke it down to them what happened when it awoke. Mandalay, I took him to a quirk doctor, and they told me his quirks weren't water gun and lightning bolt. It's actually water and lightning manipulation. This means he can control the shape of both water and lighting. The teens were now shocked to know how this child has an extremely overpowered quirk. Back to the fight. As Kota continues to struggle with Izuku, and he's getting tired, so it was time for his final move. He put both hands at an angle, then began to channel water and lightning. Mandalay had never seen this move either, so she was confused until 3 water dragons coated with lightning were behind him. Kota, Dragon Storm. Izuku smirked and thought to himself, "I've found my student and successor." He lifted his left hand, and as the elemental attack was headed towards him, it was suddenly absorbed when Kota saw that and dropped, passing out from quirk exhaustion. Mandalay rushed to him and gave him some medicine for quirk exhaustion that would take effect immediately. Izuku, Mandalay, has Kota eaten anything? Mandalay, we ate before coming. Why? Izuku, it's tradition that the master treat his disciple. Everyone was surprised and thought he wouldn't give Kota a chance. Pixabob, he didn't take the bell. Izuku, it was never about the bell. His test was to show me if he had the resolve. Now excuse me, I have to get something. Izuku left just as he was gone. Kota had come to and was curious as to how he did, but they didn't say anything. Kota had his head down until he heard footsteps approaching him. Here, as he looked up, he saw Izuku extending half of a popsicle. Izuku, it's tradition that a master treats his new disciple with a reward. Kota was surprised, then reality hit him. Am I your disciple? He questioned as he himself couldn't believe it. Izuku, yes you are, and I promise you'll be one of the most powerful when it's your turn to be a hero. Chapter 45. After the new student-master relationship was formed, Kota and the WWPC had to leave since they got a call from the moving company who had just arrived at their new home, so they departed. All of 1A were still talking about how strong Kota was, so they began to ask Izuku how he knew that his new disciple was that strong. Just as everyone was deciding what to have for dinner, the door to their dorm building was opened forcefully. As they got in battle positions, they noticed it was Mirio from the Big Three. Mirio, sorry, I need to talk to Izuku. Izuku, what's up? Mirio, I want to introduce you to Sir. I think you'll be perfect for his agency. Izuku, okay, where do we meet? Mirio, they'll swing by tomorrow and we can head over together. The next day. Early in the morning, Mirio went to fetch Izuku so they could meet Sir together. Upon arriving, he saw Izuku waiting for him in front of the dorms. The two quickly departed and headed to Night-Eye's agency, but before setting foot inside, Mirio warned Izuku about Night-Eye, who wanted to meet potential interns with a sense of humor. Izuku knew he had no sense of humor, so this meeting was going to be bust. When he and Mirio walked in, Izuku saw Night-Eye with his other sidekick hooked up to a tickling machine. Izuku thoughts, what crazy shit have I gotten myself into? Mirio, sir, this is the guy I told you about. I think he's a perfect fit for the agency. The tall man turned his attention to his protege and saw the young man next to him. He recognized the crazy hair. Mirio, take Bubble Girl and leave us. Mirio had done as he was told and quickly left, not before giving Izuku a thumbs up. Night-Eye, well, the mistake has made an appearance in my presence. Izuku was angry. He could kill the man where he stood but kept his cool. Here I am, was the only thing he could say. Night-Eye, what kind of benefits will you bring to my agency? Before Izuku could state what kind of benefits he could bring to the agency, Night Eye spoke again. Night Eye, I don't see anything special about you. OFA should have gone to Mirio. You should have been aborted like I told Inko. As Night Eye turned his back on the young man, he was suddenly yanked back as his neck was grasped close to the point of being snapped. Insult me again and you'll die here. Don't try your quirk, it's useless against me. Even though Night Eye attempted to use his quirk on Izuku, he saw nothing, just blank. Out of fear, he stamped on Izuku's form, then the young man walked out, making Night Eye release his hell breath. Izuku opened the door and saw Mirio and Bubble Girl talking. Bubble Girl, that was fast, how'd you get him to laugh? Mirio, did you tell him a joke? Izuku, I showed him a display of power to prove myself. Mirio, sweet, let's wait and see what he wants us to do for our first assignment. Before leaving his office, Night Eye composed himself as best as he could, then gave out patrol assignments. After the talk with Izuku in his office, he knew that it wouldn't be wise to mess with him. Once in front of his sidekicks, he announced their mission, which was to scout and gather information on the notorious criminal Overhaul. He advised them should they make contact, they should leave him be and not draw any suspicion to themselves. The four of them departed to the streets. Izuku and Mirio were assigned together, while Bubble Girl and Night Eye had gone as a pair to scope out the hideout. Mirio wanted to learn about Izuku. Mirio, hey, so I never got your hero name. Izuku, my hero name is Pain, the hero who will bear the burden of others. Mirio, I see, that sounds great. Lemillion, the hero who wishes to save 1,000,000 people. Before Izuku could give a compliment to his partner's name, he received one of his clone's memories. Prior to patrol, Izuku had made multiple clones before departing on his patrol route, and made sure to henge some into either random people or inanimate objects. It wasn't until a clone who was henged as a trash can heard a child running out of breath as he heard her say, "Gotta find help." Back to present. Izuku, Lemillion, we have got some company. Whatever you do, you have to act like I'm lost forever and take my cloak with you. Before Mirio could respond with a solid answer, he noticed the child run into his partner's legs until suddenly they heard her. "PP, please help me," she said, when suddenly Mirio heard Izuku say, "Act like your life depends on it." When in that moment a bright light blinded Mirio, the only thing that remained was Izuku's cloak. Overhaul, have you seen my daughter? Chapter 46. Mirio then heard a voice. "Have you seen my daughter?" Mirio was scared shitless and saw a small pile of ashes and a green sage cloak. "Mirio, this is what's left of her and my friend," he said as he dropped to his knees and slowly picked up a pathetic pile of ashes while he held the cloak and cried about not being any help. Overhaul looked pissed off. Before he could do anything, a police officer came up to the two. "Officer, what seems to be the issue here, gentlemen?" Mirio began to blubber out what had happened, and Overhaul was ready to kill both of them. "Officer, well, I believe the ashes belong to your friend, which means the kid is still out there somewhere." The officer then turned to Overhaul and asked if he had a recent picture of the child or if he could describe her so they could put out a missing persons report. Overhaul then agreed, and while he was at it made sure to give the officer the main home address in order to get any updates. Overhaul then left while the officer had tried to comfort Mirio, then whispered into his ear, "Great job, thanks for staying in character." Mirio looked up, then saw the face of his partner Pain. "Pick up the cloak and come with me." At that moment both Izuku and Mirio had quickly vanished and teleported to a massive mansion. "Mirio, where are we?" Clone Izuku, my home, before the dorm system was put in place. As Clone Izuku got near the entrance where the original was comforting the terrified little girl, he popped. As Mirio approached the little girl and the original Izuku. "Izuku, great, you brought my cloak, good job, contact Night Eye and have him meet us here." As Izuku opened up the door, he announced his presence. "I'm home," he said while holding Eri tightly, while inside Izuku saw Recovery Girl, Gran Torino and his parents having some coffee. "Inko, Izuku, why are you here?" "Izuku, we had a run-in with Overhaul, but we were able to escape quickly while rescuing this little girl." Everyone soon approached them with concern and began to ask multiple questions. Then Night Eye barged into the home. "Night Eye, well, isn't this a lovely reunion?" They all faced Night Eye, who looked irritated. "You mistake, I told you not to confront Overhaul." After that sentence, Night Eye got an iron skillet to the head. Izuku himself just learned that Momo had probably taught he the frying pan jutsu. Inko, who are you calling a mistake, Mirai? Night Eye, in talking about that failed abortion. Toshi, you told her to abort our first child. Night Eye, that failure didn't deserve to live. That moment Mirai has sent flying with a powerful roundhouse kick. To his surprise, it came from none other than Mirio. Night Eye was shocked to have been attacked by his student. Then a massive argument started. Izuku had ignored everyone else and asked Recovery Girl if she could do a checkup on him and Eri. Izuku asked Sorahiko for some help removing his arm and leg, which scared Eri. Being a hero is dangerous, but we do whatever it takes to keep everyone safe. As Recovery Girl approached, Eri freaked out even more, seeing her needle-waking stick, and lost control of her quirk. The three were enveloped in a bright light, which caused the group of people who argued to stop. Izuku thought quickly and hit a pressure point on Eri, which deactivated her quirk. What happened? Izuku asked as he rubbed his head with his right hand, which confused him. Since Sorahiko removed his arm, he glanced down and saw his right leg too. Izuku, Grandpa, I got my arm and leg back. Izuku said, then looked up to see Sorahiko and Recovery Girl and was shocked. Right before his eyes weren't the elderly couple he knew, but now they appeared to be in their mid to late 30s. Sorahiko, I haven't felt this great in years. RG, I know what you mean, I forgot how tall I was before. They then looked towards Izuku and saw that his arm and leg were restored as well. Suddenly Sorahiko activated his quirk and mercilessly beat Mirai, who had called his grandson a mistake. Izuku pulled Recovery Girl to the side and asked what would happen to Eri. However, before any decisions could be made, all this new info would have to be brought to Principal Nisa, since Izuku was the one who saved her. Chapter 47. As All Might, Inko, Mirio, and Sorahiko continued to savagely beat Night Eye's ass, they took a quick breather, then saw Night Eye try to crawl away but utterly failed when his legs were grabbed and dragged back to continue a beating that not even his quick could foresee. Izuku was still with Chio, who was holding an unconscious Eri. You know, she looks like you. That brought a smile to her, as she always wanted a child of her own. Sorahiko saw the scene after he had enough beating up Mirai, and when he saw the little girl clutching onto Chio's shirt, it brought a smile on his face. Chio, Sorahiko, do you think we can pick up where we left off? Sorahiko, are you sure? Chio, I never stop thinking about you. Izuku, what's going on? Izuku asked as he and All Might tried to listen closely to Sorahiko and Chio's conversation. Sorahiko, well, honestly, Chio and I were engaged when we first looked like this. Toshi, wait, does that mean she's my mom? Sorahiko, no, she would have been though.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.